Hello, everybody. How we doing? Oh my goodness. We're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Woo! Who's excited? I'm pumped. I'm pumped, and I'm also a little bit nervous. Not to hang out with Ryan. I love hanging out with Ryan. I'm a little nervous because I don't really have like a standard process for making a map. And so I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna flounder when when it actually comes time to get out the pen and do it. But I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun anyways. I think it'll be good. What's up? How you doing? Deadly Summer, Ty. What's up? Oh man. Yes, also greeting to everyone who remembered it was today. I wanted to get it up earlier, like as an event, but then I could not land on a thumbnail. I could not figure one out, and then the one I even end up going with is a little bit of nightmare fuel. But you know, it got us there. Pizza arrived at the perfect time. What up, ARO? Very nice. Let's see. No Ryan yet. I'm gonna wait to give this sort of spiel until Ryan is here. And also, if you guys would do the kindness, can I put it in chat from here? No, I have to sign into chat. Okay, wait. We can do this. Go to Ryan's YouTube. This is the stream. Put it on in another tab. Mute the tab. Don't mute in the player. Right click, mute the tab, because otherwise it doesn't count as a view. He is a lovely man, and we want to give him all the support we can. How you guys doing? How has your day been? I had a weirdly chill day, but it wasn't it was not like on purpose. It was not it was coincidentally chill. And not because anyone made it so. It was just because we had a big outage. There we go. I'm not caught up yet. Go offline. You sit there and live with my little ghost viewer number. I'll slink back to the fonts. Thank you very much, Ink Charm. I appreciate it. Hey, man, I'll take ghost viewers any day of the week. Do not worry about that. Let's see. That's true. You don't have to be caught up. This is not a Critical Role stream, so you don't have to be caught up to watch this one. But I understand if you want to get caught up on the Critical Role content and you just got too many things to watch, can't afford to waste the time. Hopefully Twitch is going okay. I think it is. I'm not sure though. It seems a little glitchy, honestly. But I think it's all right. Every time I try and mute it, it also mutes this one. What am I doing wrong? I don't know. It might, I can only say from the perspective of Opera GX, but on Opera GX, I just right click and I have mute tab and unmute tab right here. So it's very, straightforward. So I don't know for other browsers. It might be different. But someone keeps doing like 75-hour streams. What? Couldn't be me. What do you mean? Good to know. I'll hang in there. Yeah, this is gonna be a bit of an experimental one. I want to do something in this format. In the future. I think a bit more consistently, but I'm not entirely sure about like the actual nuts and bolts of the format, you might say. So but I was fretting over it. I had this idea, well, I sort of had this idea like months ago, and then I refined it a little bit more within the past like 2 or 3. But I kept fretting over the details, and finally I was like, I just need to go live. I just need to do it. So we will see how exactly it goes. Hello, Michael. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. And I think I was going onto this screen to see if he was on the collab cam, but he's not. So I'll just go back to just chatting. What's up? Chrome is mute site. Interesting. Think on Chrome at least you can't mute tabs, just the website. So you would have to have it like one in Firefox and like one in Chrome or something like that. That makes sense. How you doing, Michael? We're gonna do some dungeon crafting here in a moment, and just like general. I think most of the stream is not going to be like, like actively like drawing out squares. I'm gonna do a lot of, I think a lot of concepting, get like the rough dimensions especially, and then massage it into like an actual finished product probably after the stream. So this will be big ideation stream, talking to Chad, answering questions, talking to Ryan. So it'll be almost, I hesitate to use the word podcast, but podcast-esque, I guess you could say. Firefox, you can just mute the single tab. Yeah, that's how it is on Opera as well. So that's what I prefer. What's your name, bro? Megaphone Man. That is at least the tag. What up? How you doing? Didn't look like we have a custom mega bingo for the stream. Probably not. I think those are mostly for like, I don't know. I don't go into the channel, but I think that's mostly for like Critical Role type stuff, Critical Role type energy. I really need to make the switch from Chrome to Firefox, TBH. Chrome's just a resource hog, man, and I like to have a lot of tabs open at once, and Chrome does not handle it super well. So yeah, I made the switch to Opera though, because I legitimately like a lot of the customization and like the sidebar tools. I like it a lot. I have therapy, then I will get on Twitch about an hour. Sounds good, Mustang. Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Let chat on Discord. I have a Discord. I don't like one-on-one chat with people. Like I don't DM. But I have a Discord. Is it really a resource hog? Might have to make switch. Yeah, Chrome is, to my knowledge at least, compared to like Edge, which is also based on Chromium, and Firefox, Chrome is the most resource hog-ish of all of them. So I think that is more the deal. I don't know how it is, on like an objective level compared to like Discord or whatever, but on the order of browsers, it's the most resource intensive. Let's try on Discord. What? Add me. Nah, man. I don't. If you want to like reach out about like a business thing or something, there's an email on my World Anvil that you can reach out to. But I definitely don't like add folks like that. Yeah, I'm a tab hoarder. I give myself anxiety with them. I'm pretty clean about my tabs most of the time. Like, I don't have a problem getting them, like, pared back down. But I like to do a lot of, like, ordering. So it's like, if I'm, like, gonna be watching YouTube for a while, I don't like queue things up in a playlist. I queue them up in tabs. So it's like, okay, this video, then this video, then this video, then this video, like just like one at a time. And then I'll just like close out tabs as I go. So it's not too bad. I'm on a Chromebook. I loaded Linux, but didn't do any alternative browsers yet. fair enough, Daniel. Well, Chromebook is also like its own little like integrated machine and platform. So I believe Chromebook has a custom processor for it. No, or does it? Is Chromebook the one that uses like the like mobile or not mobile processor, but like the smartphone processor, like Snapdragon? I don't remember. I know that it was something like a Chromebook used like a mobile processor, but I don't know. How you doing, Cheeky? I'm good. What up, Rome? Hans, Ryan said on his YouTube he's grabbing coffee. Ah, you are correct. I just looked over there. Yeah. All right, sick. We're I mean, we got plenty of time. I have no idea how long this will take. I did not set any sort of time limits on anything or like any time expectations, so I have no idea what the timelines will will be like. But you know, we'll see. Oh my, I'm a queue maker for sure. That's fair. A queue is probably a better way to do it. Overall, I think that's probably smarter. But that is not me. Not me. Can't even bookmark stuff and open it up again later. If I close the tab, that site video thing no longer exists. Oh yeah. I 1000% agree, Ink Charm. That's why, yeah, I have to open it all up at the same time. Like I said, I used to use the watch later a lot, but then I would forget to take things out of the watch later, and then I would be like, have I already watched this? I don't remember. And so now I just have them all open in tabs. Yeah or nay, are Mega and Ryan going to wrap their stream before Critical Role? Ooh, I don't know when Critical Role starts. Probably not, because I'm guessing that they start before 9 p.m., and I don't anticipate this taking less than that, but it could. I have no idea. So I would vote nay, probably. Not even knowing when Critical Role starts. I'm guessing nay. I forgot, when did you say we get to watch you DM? If you're in the Unseen campaign, end of March. If you are not, whenever I get a good concept. I have a good concept for an on-stream one-shot. But it will take a lot of work and a lot of technical setup, and I am not like, I can't like commit that level of energy to it yet. Just to like that concept in general and to streaming right now. So depends. Depends on when you will be able to see me publicly DM. Hopefully, I'm hoping by the summer. Like very, very hopefully it'll be sometime this summer. Maybe sooner. It'd be dope if it was sooner, but probably this summer. I always make new tabs for any random video I see interesting. I don't usually get to them all, but yeah, I feel that. Well, then if you watch like a little bit of all of them, they also go into your history, so then you can find them there. Pro tip. I recently went through a watch later playlist I had. It was 158 videos on and went, what are all these? Lol. My bookmarks are deep and many. One of the things I like about Opera GX is it has bookmarks and bookmark folders, but it also has speed dial and it has suggested. So like I really like that it like has these like big tabs for like the things that I mostly go to. Oh wait, that's an internal. That's fine. But then it also has these like things at the top which are nice. Bold to assume I remember to look through my history. Lol. Watch later is the same as saying I'll put it on my list when someone recommends a show / movie to me. It gets put on the list and then purged from my brain. Yeah, that's why I have to have lists. My lists are many and long. Because I have to get it out of my brain. Otherwise, my brain will forcibly eject it. Well, it's Mega, so before next week's CR? Oh, right. Okay. What are we doing here? Listen up. Bold to assume I remember to look through my history. Yeah. Alright. I think... Oh wait, no, it just glitched. I thought for a second I saw the Ryan stream go live. Let's see. No, we're just chilling. I should probably no. Okay. But my general thought process, this stream is basically gonna take like 3 parts. But all of them are gonna probably be like this sort of primary screen, which I'm finally getting to use the new tablet that I bought. Because before this, I was using a very rinky-dinky tablet. TBH, we can stop that sentence after bold to assume I remember. I think you and your Warlock patron will be competing streams tomorrow. Is that right? Oh my goodness. Wait. Is it scheduled? I have not heard about this. Let me go and see. I might have to watch. Sometimes I can watch. It depends on what it is, right? Like obviously Critical Role Demystified I normally can't watch. Although I should get caught up on the backlog. Super GM. Is there a scheduled one? I don't see it. Did he just announce it and I missed it? Because I see streamed 9 months ago. I do not see anything after that. It's a celebration for amount of subs, I think. I mean, he did just hit like 40K, or not just. I don't know how long ago that was. I use Watch Later all the time, and it annoys me the YouTube app constantly puts it more and more clicks away. They really have been really putting it further and further out of reach, haven't they? The vibe of this chap is we're all kind of neurospicy, so we track ourselves. Lol. It was in today's video. Oh, I see. To learn from my mistakes. I haven't watched it, so fair enough. Ryan thinks he's in Streamlabs now. Wait, let me see. Collab cam. We're using a new thing. So let me start it. RyanImel. Show on stream. Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Wait, test that again.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so you are on stream right now.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I'm on your stream before I'm on my stream. I wanted to make sure it would work before I hit go on my end. So
it does appear to be working. I did not realize that it would not allow me to like filter it before you got on, and that it would force you to say hello to everyone first before me.
Oh, I don't mind. Hi, everybody. No big deal.
No,
just over here moving windows around and stuff on my side. So
gotcha. He's a little loud compared to you. Good to know. Okay, let me turn collab cam down. Very nice. Okay. Everyone say hi, Ryan, and make Mega read out loud each individual hi, Ryan. That's a good idea. Hello, hi, Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, wait, that sounded quiet. Let's see. I have to cut the middle. I'm excited. I have no idea. Someone was asking, like, do you think you'll be done before Critical Role? I have no idea how long this will go.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right?
Yeah, but I think it'll be good. It'll be fun. Let's see.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got that going.
Did you also see that they I realized it the other day when I was actually watching a short of yours. I paused and there's a new live shorts tab. Like vertical live streaming on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting.
And I just saw something from Creator Insider, so I don't know. I tried it out before stream and it did not look like you could do both at the same time, or even if you did, it was like very wonky. But
gotcha.
It looks I did test it out from my phone, and you can easily do it from a phone, like very easily.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's good to know.
Yeah, well, especially I know you have like several phones in your setup.
Only 2 tonight.
Only
but yes,
2?
I use phones. I have the overhead and yeah. That's how I record.
Dude, that's fair. Right. I mean, it's definitely. Paige literally saw my thumbnail and she was like, the only thing I'm getting from this is that Ryan shoots in much higher quality than you do. And I was like, well, don't say that.
The honestly, I've messed with webcams and stuff before, and then I'm like, you know what? I think the most advanced camera that I have is on my phone, so and my old phones, so I'll just use those.
Probably is. That is probably true.
All right.
Okay.
So I should be going as well on my end. I'm gonna take a quick look to check the stream on YouTube, but if I set
Awesome.
everything up right, it should be okay.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think yeah, I'm rocking and rolling. Your YouTube looks good from my perspective.
Sweet.
So I think we are
Awesome.
ready to rock. I'm going to
Heck yeah.
I have a tiny bit of a spiel about it, just like a little intro explanation.
Totally.
Okay. So this is we're gonna do, or we're gonna try to do at least, an exquisite corpse dungeon. If you
Mhm.
don't know, Exquisite Corpse is a game where like people draw multiple different parts of a picture without being able to
Yeah.
see what the other person is doing. So a lot of times you like fold up the paper, or you like have different sets or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's been extended to like all sorts of other mediums, including this is not like the first. We're not the first people to ever do it.
Yeah.
But the people have done it with dungeon design, and I think it'd be really fun. Um,
Why not? Let's
why
give it a
not?
shot, right?
Yeah. And I think that if you're at home, you could probably just run with it, just like do it as long as you want and whatever. But with streaming and wanting to keep it as a more maybe concise product, so that we're not going too crazy, I do have some restrictions. So the whole thing will have a theme, which for this one is going to be aquatic. And aquatic could
Ooh,
be,
aquatic.
yeah, it could be anything generally aquatic, a drowned temple,
Mhm.
a sunken ship, the elemental plane of water,
Sure.
whatever. And then the dungeon itself is meant to contain challenges for a level 5 party. Now, I guarantee it will not be even remotely balanced for that, but the act of striving for that will at least put us in the same ballpark.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And the process itself, we are going to be splitting into 3 parts, with each of us designing one section per part. So we will each design a section. So there will ultimately be 6 in total. But after each part, we will get together and see if we can massage them together, get an idea of what the other one's doing before we move on to the next one. And by the end,
Okay.
I think we'll have a full-on dungeon that maybe I'll polish off stream. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more
Sure.
off stream to work some of the small kinks out. But then we'll put it
Love
up
it.
on World Anvil, and anyone who wants to will be able to use it.
Sounds great.
All
Yeah.
right. And then for the first part, I will also give a square footage budget and an interest point. So it just has to be contained somewhere within the first part, which is just a trap of some kind.
So a trap in the first part.
A trap in the first part.
Okay.
So theme is aquatic. So aquatic, and I'm gonna write.
So are you thinking that this first is sort of like the opening of a dungeon, like the beginning of a dungeon, or just anywhere in a dungeon? How do
Could
you
be
do that?
anywhere, and we're gonna have to
Could
put
be
them
anywhere.
together. And so we'll have to kind of massage in connections, maybe
Okay,
even change or meld parts of them to go together.
Yeah, totally.
So
And then you had a square footage budget.
yeah, for this first part, I'm gonna keep it relatively small at 140 square feet.
Okay.
Doesn't have not a hard and fast rule, very soft budget. Just
Sure.
general area. I don't even think I'm gonna be drawing out like an actual grid.
Right.
It is I'm just gonna be like measuring dimensions and stuff. And then yeah, this one will have a trap in it. Ugh. Proposal: someone left a decanter of endless water running and fell asleep.
for a
That works.
couple hundred or thousand years, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's at the center. That's the boss. Is just a decanter.
No,
Oh.
aquatic's a cool one because I don't think that it's a super common. It's kind of a tricky thing to play with because if you do a lot of underwater stuff, then you've got to deal with like how much is that. It's not even really difficult terrain. It's just like you're moving slower and
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah,
is
and there's like
totally different.
the ranged attacks are like in general a little bit less effective. Melee attacks are kind of stopped. Yeah, there's a lot there. I was curious about you. I don't know that I necessarily have like a standard process for like
Mhm.
doing like dungeon crafting. Do you have somewhere that you generally start?
Um, so I usually start with I usually kind of work backwards from some big idea.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about here, just so I don't cheat and use any ideas that I might want to for aquatic, like if it was a jungle
Mm-hmm.
sort of a dungeon or something that was based there, then I might think of traps like the vibe of like an Indiana Jones trap and say,
Ah,
okay, I want the vibe to be this, where it's like you're, a series of things maybe while escaping. And then once I land on that, then it's like, okay, so what would that mechanically look like? And why might somebody create something like that? And I'll kind of go from there. So I usually start from some sort of bigger vibe that I want
gotcha.
to try to achieve with a dungeon and go from there.
Yeah, fair enough. And do you ever like just like create dungeons just like at base when you aren't really sure where you'll put them in? Or do you like generally only design them like bespoke for the party for a session that you're running? Because I try to like backlog a lot of my maps, but then with NPCs, I normally create them like
Right.
very bespoke, very like targeted at the audience.
I so there are it's tricky, right? Because to some extent it's sort of like asking where do you fall on the quantum ogre, right? Like is it
I'm not aware
have
of
you
the
ever heard that
quantum
before?
ogre. No.
Uh it is maybe a controversial idea. I don't personally use this technique. I'm sure you've heard of it, even if it maybe not as quantum ogre.
Okay.
But let's say that you have a dungeon with two hallways.
Mm.
Um, Players could go down the left one or they could go down to the right one. The quantum ogre sort of approach to that dungeon design means that the ogre will be in whichever hallway they go down. Doesn't matter if they go to the left, doesn't mean if they go to the
Oh.
right.
Yeah,
And
there's kind of an overall concept that I have pitched
mhm,
before of don't use a world map. You can
sure,
place things in your world wherever they go.
totally,
Similar
totally,
idea.
that's fair.
I don't really approach dungeon design like that, but
Hmm.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and guess what I mean by that is that typically when I'm designing a dungeon, it's usually only like a week ahead of time because I don't like to plan more than that in my games.
Sure.
So it because of that, I don't usually have. Now, sometimes I have big ideas for like, it'd be really cool to do a dungeon like this. I think it kind of is going to fit in this place in my world or in the game, but
Mhm.
most of the time it's just sort of week to week and whatever I can come up with.
Ah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Two modes of balance, either party stress cries or the DM stress cries. Place your bets. Mine is normally DM stress cries because I realize I made it far too difficult.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. I think I have kind of a base idea that I'm going for,
Okay.
and I don't
Here, let me
know.
switch. So I have an aquatic dungeon trap in this first part. There'll be
Hmm.
multiple parts, right? Aquatic biome, square footage budget, loosely 140 square feet, level 5 players. Um,
Actually,
okay.
yeah, and I'm not gonna say too much out loud. Don't want to influence your decisions.
Of course. Well, and
Okay.
how do you want to do it? Do you want to kind of mute each other and kind of go off with our chats and build stuff, or do you want to kind of listen in on each other as we
Yeah,
go.
we can
Down
listen in
equal.
on each other. I'm not going to actively tell you what I'm doing. Um,
Okay.
but
Okay.
but we can just we can chat. We can shoot the
Let's
shit.
see. Would it be? Yeah, yeah. Would it be easier for your stream? Let me see, so I don't spoil anything. Should I switch my camera to just my face? That way you don't see all my work as I switch back and forth on stream.
Oh yeah, probably switch your cam to just or the collab cam to just your face.
Yeah, let me
Mostly,
do that.
honestly, just to keep your face nice and prominent for the viewers.
Yeah, we can see if that'll work.
Verticality could go crazy underwater. Oh, Hans and I are on the same wavelength. What a satisfying clicky clacky keyboard. My keyboard is very clicky clacky. I really need to get a new one. It is falling apart from under me, like a lot of my desktop.
Okay, I can't figure out a way to send you just my face, but I'll just be the voice in your ear. Then I'll just stop my video so you don't see what I'm.
Oh no,
showing
you
in the
can still
meantime.
have it up. I don't have I don't actually
All right,
watch
cool.
like
As
I don't
long as
need
it
to have
doesn't bother
subs.
you,
Yeah, no.
as long as it's not a distraction.
No. You're fine.
Okay,
I guess if people
let's see here.
want to see your big ol' face, they can go to your stream.
Yeah, whatever works for you. It doesn't. I don't think it makes a difference on my end.
Cool. All right. Just convince the party that too difficult means you totally believe in them. I always believe in my party, except when they almost die, and it's all my fault. Let's see. I meant to. Huh. Trying to think. Do you have any? You run like 3 games a week, right?
Yeah, I usually run. It's 2 for sure, sometimes 3. The third one is on a touchier schedule, touch and go.
I see.
So yeah, I'm usually planning something.
And you have like you do like physical props. Like that must be a crazy amount of prep. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean it's more it's more of a fun thing that I do. It's nice if it works out where I end up being able to use it for a game, but I very often will not have something ready in time for a game. That used to really bother me. I used to even try to delay something impactful happening in a game to try to line it up, but that's generally speaking a pretty bad habit.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Well, and that
do
can
that
cause
anymore.
a game to lose a lot of momentum. Like I always find because I traditionally try to have my games be like 3 to 4 hours nowadays. But I find it better to run even a 1 hour session at the regularly, kind of scheduled time rather than delay it,
Yeah, it's always better to run than not.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Cuz I've had it way too often where you think that, by delaying it and giving the best product, you're doing the I don't know, like the right thing, quote unquote, for the players because you're giving them like the best thing, and that's something that I struggled with the Unshot, with the Unseen campaign, is like needing to delay that.
Sure.
And that was mostly a vain reason because it's going to be the first time that anyone in the audience sees me DM. So I was like, no, that one has to be good. But for my actual players,
I get that.
I just want to make sure that it is nice. Let's see. Now I'm struggling, or not struggling, but I'm trying to figure out sort of what you hit on of like what was this room even used for, because I think I have a general gimmick for it with the trap, but now it's like what did because I never want my stuff to feel like I placed it there, even if someone intelligently in the universe placed it there.
Totally.
That's one thing.
Right. Yeah, you want it to have a purpose and not, you want it to be sort of anchored in the world in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
tied into other things and not sort of the floating
Yeah.
floating ethereal dungeon location that I mean, it honestly feels a bit more old school. Like I feel like a lot of older D&D dungeons and things that people take inspiration from didn't always really have a justified place in the world. It's sort of, they started from the place of like, we need a crazy gonzo dungeon.
Yeah.
What's it here for? I don't know. Some mad mage made it. It's like, okay, all right, that's
Well, and I think a lot of my like the base of my like strategy and mindset is rooted a lot in that, but I call that like the 80% of it, and then there's like the 20% of like you need to like go through the process of meshing it in the world. Like if you want to build
yeah,
just like floating dungeons and just have them be like kind of out there, you then whenever you're about to place it, you need to go through the work to like change some things and work in the environment and like massage it into the scene so that it doesn't feel weird.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Actually, that. That doesn't even spell that.
Should I call you Megaphone Man or should I call you Jack? What do you prefer?
Oh, yeah, either one. Whichever you
Okay.
prefer. It sounds I'm trying to think. Mega,
Okay.
I think I generally prefer Mega, but also
Okay,
Jack
Mega.
doesn't sound that weird that I'm like that I would ever correct anyone for it.
That's fair. Have you ever run any substantial part of your adventure in an aquatic or under sea or even near the sea type of setting?
No, but I have this big I have a really big exploration beat like
Hmm.
in my soul. Um and I really like for I really really like the idea of like an archipelago boat campaign because I feel
Right.
like it's one of the easiest ways to like kind of flavor that exploration type feel without having to
Sure.
make just ass loads of content.
Right.
It's a lot easier to make like discrete islands than entire
Totally.
continents. Um, I've really for a long time I've had this idea of a setting that takes place on a gas giant that
Hmm.
has that or some sort of planet
That
like
sounds cool.
that with like
Yeah.
floating land masses that move constantly, like they rotate around the planet. So there would be a level of like information decay of like you used to know how to get somewhere, but it moved and you
I see.
moved. Um, I've had that sort of setting noodling around in my brain for a long time. But I have never actually like gotten there with it. Uh, but yeah, especially in D&D, I've always I haven't found like a TTRPG where I really really loved the exploration mechanics. It feels like a lot of times they either
Right.
boil down to bookkeeping or they're just not there.
Sure. Yeah, that is really hard.
I don't know if you've ever played um a TTRPG where you did like the exploration, or just I don't know how your like non D&D experience is with TTRPGs.
Not, I mean, I think yours is a lot more broad than mine. I've mostly dabbled in 5e, so if there's any sort of exploration to be had, it's usually in 5e. It's usually something that you kind of have to roll yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I've always approached it. So it really depends. Like, um, we've talked about this, I think, a little bit before, but like, depending on the size of the place that's being explored, sometimes, like I think even having, I have another map that I was working on a couple nights ago. Um, if it's a small enough region, I like to kind of draw it out and try to put things that they can explore, that the players can explore, kind of visible on a map.
Mm-hmm.
That way, they can sort of self direct in a
Sure.
situation like that. But I think like exploration is also interesting, like hyper focused on like a single room or like a couple rooms in a dungeon. Like there's
Mm.
exploration that has to happen there too.
Oh yeah.
And thinking about that is interesting.
That's sort of a the closest like good comparison I have to like things that the things that feel like D&D exploration is like Metroidvanias. That's what I try to think about a lot
Sure.
when I think about like dungeon exploration is it's like okay, you have to go over on like this branch or this arm of the dungeon to get the thing to then
Right.
come back to the previous thing.
Totally.
Cuz I think if you that's one of my I think that's one of my like not heuristics isn't the right word, but like strategies towards making the dungeon not feel like a straight line.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
Because it's like if I do that, if I force the party to like reasonably double back for like an actual thing, it means that it just essentially won't be a straight line. If I
Right.
kind of like force that out of them, which I do like. Uh, hmm. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I feel like I should put on music, but I am not. As my chat well knows, I'm not a music guy. So I never
You're
know
fine.
what to put on for stream. And I feel like every time I put on something, it'll say like, "Oh, this is copyright free," and then the VOD
Oh,
gets
sure.
dinged. The VOD is immediately like
Uh,
demonetized.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially with like, I lean away from. I usually play music. If it was just me. It was just me like crafting or doing this kind of just solo with Chad. But since there's two of us talking, I just assumed it would be too like overwhelming the back and forth, especially
No,
if
that's fair.
people bounce at all between the streams, which I don't even know if people do. I think that's part of the grand experiment here, right?
Oh yeah, I have no idea because like I know the only real reference point I have for like this sort of like collab multi-stream multiple views is like artists and gamers, and I think that the artists are probably the closest comparison because I think the gamers always have like the game to talk about. They're not having to like actively generate the game, um,
Right.
and so like when there is like silence or when there's like not a lot going on, they can always like reference that back.
Totally. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I don't really watch a lot of like art streams, but maybe I should get some strats.
Some inspiration.
You could sing BG3 songs to us. Yes, sing for us all. The people have spoken.
Oh no.
Or maybe sea shanties, considering the theme. I only know the TikTok sea shanty. The what was I only know that one. Let's see. This is a level 5 party. Level 5s have level 3 spells, yeah?
Level fives with levels. Yeah, they should, right?
I
I would think
believe.
they would go up to even 4 in some cases. I don't know though.
Let me.
Don't quote me on that. I'm sure
No, I'm
I
pulling it
usually
up.
rely on my players for player info.
It is. It is third level. Because I'm thinking about, what sort of spells they'll have access to, and they have access to fly. Which,
Mhm.
if they've got fly, I could maybe put it to them a little bit more. Let's see. Whip out that musical theater training. Yeah. Soon may the Wellerman come. Now my chat's just singing to themselves now, which is great. Now we don't have to.
Hey, that's awesome.
That's perfect, chat. Let's fill that in. The real I'm very interested to see, especially how like the meshing it together goes.
Totally.
Because I
Yeah,
feel like that'll be very interesting.
definitely.
Let's see.
See what kind of ideas we come up with.
Yeah. I'm really struggling. Maybe I just need to take that out. I didn't even think about how big this is. I need to think about my budget. Let's see.
Don't worry, I already decided I was gonna ignore that.
What the heck, Ryan?
Yeah, it was a loose. I never think in terms of square footage and what that could mean for a
Yeah.
dungeon or whatnot, which I really should, because so many of my dungeons are actually made with terrain. I should always be thinking about that.
It actually
Um,
does make a lot more sense for you. I normally don't think about it either. I
Right.
mostly did it to make sure that we made creations that
That
would
could kind of
relatively
jive.
mesh together.
Sure, that makes
At
sense.
least that they're in the same like magnitude.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
uh
maybe. Well, I mean, we'll find
maybe.
out.
Yeah. I don't even
It's
know.
all an experiment.
Yeah. How much is that?
Now, sometimes if I've ever been in a pinch with terrain, making maps, if it's like, oh, this isn't the right fit, I mean, if you have like squares or whatever you use for scale, you could just sort of sometimes I'll just arbitrarily go, oh, every square now is 10 feet, not 5 feet.
Oh,
So
sure.
even
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
like tiles or something that's got a grid, it's like just change. I mean, you could even go 15 feet or 20 feet. Like you could change the scale dramatically, and that's totally fine.
Oh,
It
yeah.
might get a little bit of back movement, but it's fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, and that's a way that you can. That's like one of the minor ways, at least, that you can rebalance your dungeon on the fly. Of like,
Hmm.
if you originally, had all the squares being 5 feet, but then you're realizing, oh no, halfway through my monk is having a really bad time, or not even
Right.
halfway through, but maybe just like leading up to the session, you've kind of realized that he hasn't really done much the past couple sessions. You expand the square
Yeah.
footage, and all of a sudden he has something to do. He has a lot more to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to do that.
Yeah. Ugh. Chat, put a pin in it. Whenever Mega gives us text to speech, we must make TTS Wellerman happen. I've tried. I don't know if you've ever looked into text to speech, Ryan. I have looked at tools and I have found them wanting. I'll say that.
What'd you say? You find text to speech? What?
Yeah. So I've wanted to look for like text to speech programs to
Mhm.
like be able to like take super chat messages and like automatically read them out loud. And I have like not found any good ones, like especially none that work
I see.
consistently. I don't know if you've ever looked into it at all.
I really haven't. No. Um, nope, not really something that I've explored yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just ecstatic when I can make my stream work without
Yeah,
my
you got all
my
your cameras.
my exactly, yeah. Well, it is a trickier thing when you sort of decide that you're going to stream anything in the real world. Streaming screens
Yeah, way
is
easier.
is yeah, kind of, right? Like there's a lot of available sort of tooling for that. Um, but usually kind of these other things are an afterthought.
Oh yeah. I do not. The only time I've tried like an IRL an additional IRL cam besides just like my face cam, I took it off. Like I had it through like a GoPro with the GoPro webcam software, and it was just so glitchy that I took it away. Let's see. Okay. So that is that. Ooh.
One of the shorts that I've been wanting to make for a while. I've got it like kind of half scripted and mostly just have to like create some visuals to demonstrate what I mean. But this, I wish that I'd. Sorry, I'm referencing what you're not looking at, but like in terms of drawing stuff out, I wish that I'd always drawn out my maps on paper because I used to draw them just on the dry erase like mats that you can get.
Oh, sure.
And so many, and I would go crazy on it. Like I would create all this detail and all this stuff and all the things you could reveal.
And then you have to
man,
like
I wish I
take pictures of it because
yeah,
it's not permanent.
I'm sure exactly that was my issue. So now they're all gone, but if I could do it again, it would all be on paper. That's for sure.
That's fair. That's fair. I've been a digital guy since before I was even remote. Like I have always I have almost always even when I was originally DMing, I was paper and whiteboards. And then after my first campaign, I switched onto a tablet. And so even when I was DMing in person, I was hooking up my tablet to a TV or a monitor, and like displaying things on there. And then we also had a whiteboard in the middle of the table. So that was always my strategy. So I've been a digital guy for a long, long time. Ugh. Let's see. Just publish your IP address with an open port so we can pipe data into Microsoft Speech Engine. Yeah. Raw sockets are your friend. Yeah, for sure. That is honestly, so they're talking about like putting up my IP on screen. That is one of the reasons
Great
that
idea.
I've never done any dev streams like with the bot, because I've followed general safety practices, but I have not followed safety practices for displaying the code on screen.
Right.
So
That's fair.
I don't particularly want to risk that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's see. So I think that'll work. Okay. Oh. I want. Ooh. There's something that I made wrong that I really want to figure out how to make it work. Because like I see the thing in my brain. Oh, actually, no. This works perfectly. Everything always works perfectly, right, Ryan? That's just how DMing works.
That's one of the rules. Yeah.
That's one of the rules. That it has never worked poorly ever. Yeah. Okay. All of these. There we go. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I still have an entire like blank spot in the dungeon that I've put absolutely nothing in. in the scene. Like I've put like most of the detail into like 2 sections and not into the other 2 at all.
For shame.
I know. Let's
Let's
see.
see. Well, part of it too is also like I don't usually like it just kind of depends. I build dungeons in lots of different ways. It's interesting trying to sort of put it all into a little kind of hand drawn kind of situation here.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not my
like
north. It's fun.
easily.
It's fun to try something different.
Yeah, that's easily like displayable on screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. To
on
kind of
stream.
put the important stuff out. It's a fun little test.
Yeah. Let's see. This is also the time. I know sometimes people join in, especially on the Twitch side or folks that are new and ask DMing questions during Critical Role, and it's hard because I want to answer the questions, but also there's like a concept to get through. So this is like the perfect time to ask any sort of DMing questions when we're
Oh,
just kind of
totally. Yeah.
chilling out. Let's see. Put random meaningless object in the middle of the room. It should distract the party for at least an hour. Dude, you had a whole discussion with blue haired DM about that, about the chair.
Exactly.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, you don't really get to choose what the players are going to obsess about, and then you sort of have to make a decision if you're going to you know lean into it or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun to do that, and other times it's like, okay, we'll play this one out.
Yeah, well, we were just that we were doing the Critical Role. Have you seen all of campaign 1? I forget.
Not all of it. I think I saw up to maybe like somewhere in the 60 to 80 episode range, somewhere like
Oh,
that.
so
So
you were
probably
still.
more than you have still. Yeah.
Yeah. We just watched or we're finishing the Briarwood arc right now.
So good,
And
right?
yeah, it was I mean easily the best so far. I mean by far.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty great.
it reminded me of like what you're saying about like, oh, like do you just like let the party go with it?
Right.
Because there's a moment where like Percy like forces Orthax out, and I'm still not sure if Orthax is like gone or not, so don't tell me.
Sure, of course.
But there's that moment where that happens, and they kind of fight him just like in a hallway. They just kind of like get around and
Exactly.
smack him for a while, and I'm like,
Totally.
I don't. It's like it's cool that he was like going along with what they were doing, and he's rewarding them or whatever, and especially he likes to reward them for rolling high or rolling nats.
Yeah.
But that was one where I was like, maybe don't reward them in this situation. Maybe just go with the
Mhm.
plan.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of one of those where, if I remember it correctly, right, it's like you kind of never know when that situation's going to pop off,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm sure, like, yeah, um,
Let's see.
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. I'm sure I'm missing details, but I remember that being a fun sort of like I think what made uh, everything about that fun was really how all of the players kind of played into it, right? There was nobody really
Yes.
fighting against what that trope was that they were playing out for. I mean, that must have been like, I mean, that's basically the whole campaign they'd been playing up to at that point, right? Like they'd been seeing, or at least most of it, like that had
Mm-hmm.
been sort of hanging over their heads.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm gonna connect these. I think that they, in general, like Critical Role as a whole, do really great character work, and Matt really prioritizes rewarding them. I think sometimes at the cost of the actual scene and maybe a cooler moment, because to me,
Hmm.
the moment was really cool, and then it led into a half an hour, 45 minutes of kind of nothing.
Yeah,
And I was like, I don't know if the cool moment was worth it, but they do really strive for those cool character moments, which is really nice. There we go.
definitely.
Let's see. Hope that is not how you spell that. Pool instead of pole. And then, God, I don't know what CR these things even are. Let's see. Because you mentioned it earlier, I posted the MTG color wheel alignment question in my D&D party, and the convo is already great and very insightful. Hell yeah. They're also color coding my NPCs? Lol, that's awesome. Do you know the color wheel or the color pie, Ryan?
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know if you can see my screen at all, like if you choose to.
No. I can switch over and look, but
So, there is a. I'll just pull up an example. MTG color. So it is a basically a not necessarily like alignment exactly, but it is it's sort of an alignment system that is also by Wizards of the Coast, but it's for Magic the Gathering. Um, and where's open? There we go. Open image. Um, so it is, instead of being, like a matrix, like a 3x3, it is a 5 value, basically like pentagram, where like everything like connects to everything else.
gotcha.
And so I really like the color pie over the alignment chart because you get a
Okay.
lot of density of information out of knowing just like a
Right.
few values. Um, but it's a lot harder to learn. Each value itself is much more information dense.
Right.
But I like it a lot more, and I use it for all of my personal characters. And I highly recommend it. If you haven't looked into it before and you don't love the I don't know how you feel about the alignment chart, but I always feel like it's shallow at best.
Yeah, I haven't. It could just be because I haven't invested enough thought into it, or maybe just haven't used it with my group in the right, any of my groups in the right way. The vibe that I get with alignment is that people don't, at least in my experience, players don't really think about it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and inevitably it just becomes like some sort of a litmus test for if they're acting the way that they think they're acting, but I don't necessarily care how they think they're acting or how they plan to act, just how they act.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it becomes an interesting sort of lens to look back at player actions, but not necessarily a useful tool for me of like projecting going forward.
Yeah.
I think generally speaking, players are going to kind of do, for the most part, what they think makes sense
Mm-hmm.
in a given scenario, and they may try to justify it in different ways afterwards. But I think it's super, super rare that anybody's sitting there going like, okay, well, there are 9 different possible me's, and what would I do in each of these possible situations? Like, I just don't think people
Right.
think that way.
Yeah. I find it. I find that at least my theory on like what I think that sort of mechanic or thing is useful for is that I think it is useful for quick communication, like quick, like abstract communication.
Yeah.
And for that sort of thing, I much prefer something that, while maybe a slightly higher barrier to entry, once everyone
Right.
is speaking the same language, it carries so much more weight. Like, I can easily describe the vibe of a NPC through 2 colors.
Gotcha.
I can just be
Oh,
like,
I
oh
see what
yeah,
you're
they're
saying.
giving you like a green black vibe.
That's that. Yeah. Okay.
And that's the
Interesting.
main. But I find like that the alignment chart is absolutely useless for that. So I
It's
don't
tough. It's tough.
particularly.
I get why they exist. Like, and I mean, they're
Oh yeah.
fun to a certain extent, right?
Yeah. How much? A goblin is only a 4th. I have a lot of CR left to work with. Okay. Let's see. Oh man, wait. Why is the multi-stream? Oh, the multi-stream isn't working. That's why I couldn't see anything else. No. Rip dog cam. Yeah, dog cam was nice. That was what I used the other IRL cam for, was just to zoom in on my dogs as a whole
Nice.
separate scene.
Uh huh.
Uh, I had a floating skull in a room that followed the closest player as they walked in the room with ash around it. 2 hours later and nearly touching it. Most nervous I've been DMing. What did the floating skull do, Deadly Spark? Was it just like there to unnerve your players, or because I have done that sort of thing where like something is purely there to just cause a ruckus and unnerve them, so that I achieve the right vibe going into a different part of the dungeon or a different part of the map or an encounter, that I'm worried won't have like the tense gravitas that it needs. But apparently, is a floating skull a monster that I'm forgetting about? I don't know. They kept insisting it until I spelled it out to them, and it was rated. It was in a rated vault of an ancient buried city, maybe a flooded buried city. Dragon turtle. Okay. I think I know what's up. I think I know what's up with this dungeon, or with this encounter at least. Okay.
My chat asks, "Is it a flame skull?"
Maybe a flame skull. It wasn't a monster, just an ancient item that disintegrated people who touched it. The disintegrating players that touched it.
Damn.
That's why it had all the ash around it. Man, I was on your player's side. I was not piecing it together. But that's probably just because of like communication via chat. But I mean, if it only like disintegrates living people that touch it, then you just get some tongs, and that sounds like a great weapon. Ryan, I'm not sure if you muted yourself on my end on purpose. I saw you talking, but I couldn't hear you for a second.
I do. Yes. I've been writing my mic on your end if I say something while you're talking. That way I don't.
Okay. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. This is going to be boss. So that's one. Ooh. One. No. Let's see. And then 1, 6. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Oh, perfect. I'm just talking to myself. I'm just hyping myself up about how good my shit is.
I good.
Gotta have confidence.
Absolutely.
How's yours going? How are you feeling about it?
I think I feel good. Yeah. It's a concept. It's a thing.
It's a place.
It's got probably a number of different justifications for it to exist, but I think it's a fun idea.
That's good. Oh, I just thought.
What's a mimir? MIMIR? Is that what you guys are talking about?
MIMIR? What is is it a monster?
In Norse mythology, the wisest of the gods of the tribe.
Oh.
No, I'm guessing that's not it. I'm guessing it's.
I see a marrow.
It's a name that they took from that mythology.
A
skull-shaped device. It's a wondrous item.
Oh.
Looks like it came from the multiverse book, Planescape book.
Planescape. Oh, interesting.
Adventures in the Multiverse.
Gotcha.
Maybe that's what you guys are talking about.
Oh, that could be. The only
Oh
items
yeah,
left
I'm
were
just looking.
dangerous and communicated as such, like petrified people with petrified, like an orb that petrified people with petrified people around it. That is fair. That is fair. I'm just a I'm a little cursed item goblin. I maybe that's just the warlock main in me, but I want to take everything that I shouldn't have that should be too dangerous and bend it to my will whenever I'm a player.
Of course, yeah. Just is it? It can't be cursed if you just accept the curse as a new fact of life and roll
Yeah.
with it, right? That's just
Yeah, if that's just a part of me now, that it's only upside, it's only benefit.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, there are worse things. Like if you didn't have the item, that would be way worse.
Exactly. See, you understand. You get it.
Oh yeah. And it's fun to. I mean, I don't know. Curses are weird. I don't think I use them very often, um, but I do want them to be pretty impactful when they exist, right? Like it.
Yeah.
I hesitate if the curse is kind of minor.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather the curse be like this. You know, this is potentially like a big element of the story type of curse. That's what I
Yeah,
always
you'd
like.
rather amp up the intensity a little bit. That's how I feel
Mhm.
about magic items
Make the
in
choice really
general.
count. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I really wish one of my big kind of wishes in D&D is that there were evolving magic items, so like that you could
Sure.
like get a magic item as a common, and like as you go you could either do something or maybe it would just level up with you, to slowly like rise into like uncommon, rare, whatever, as you level up. Because I think one of my big issues with giving out magic items at lower levels, even when the party definitely should have them, is it's like, okay, do I just like make this like a collectathon where you just have a bunch of magic items, or do I,
Sure.
that's because I feel like when you get like really high leveled and they have all of these magic items, it becomes a tad overwhelming, especially if you're like a spellcaster that already has a million spells at level 10.
Sure. The one thing that you can do though, and not feel bad about, is if you give a lot of items, especially like magic weapons and things like that, you can not feel bad about having villains around that can destroy them or can sap the magic from them. Then you're like, hey, you know what? There's plenty available in this world.
That is true.
You know, sucks that you might lose your favorite one here and there, but it's
Yeah.
probably more around the corner.
Yeah, that's very, very true. That is one of the things that I know with just taking away I know that it is like part of the intended like balance of D&D is it's like your fighter can get disarmed, your wizard can like lose their spell book, but it always
Right.
feels so bad. I never want to like get rid of my wizard player's spell book, even though I know that like
Right.
that is supposed to be part of the balance and weakness of wizard, is that they
Sure.
have this kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, like single point of failure.
Right. Right.
But it feels like I don't want to punish my player just to make it just to bring, so then I just let the wizards do whatever they want.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to find a monster and I cannot find it. Oh. Aha. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. No, not toys. How do I say this? I have an idea that's cooking up, but I don't know quite how to say it.
those are usually good ideas.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay. I like minor curses ever since I was a player in a Witchlight campaign. I've heard very good things about Witchlight, about Wild Beyond Witchlight. I mean, I think Fae stuff is like just kind of generally fun. I think it's one of the more persisting fantasy tropes.
Sure.
But I've heard very good things about Wild Beyond Witchlight. I've heard people call it the last good D&D book. I am not that involved to know if that is accurate or not, but
Yeah.
I've heard very, very good things. Ugh.
Is there? I feel like one of the, if I really think about why, like the vibe is really fun to go into and spend time in the Feywild and see what happens. Is it one of the few places, and this could just be me, but I feel like it might be because it's one of the places in D&D where magic still gets to be super mysterious by default.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of, and I think it's a big like I'm really into hard magic, like books and such. But I think that hard magic is sort of a growing trend in a lot of like D&D projects and worlds, and it, especially as we kind of move away from maybe like the older like sword and sorcery days.
Right.
And I do think that sort of demystifies magic a lot. So I think that's a really good point about the Feywild being kind of one of the last remaining things where it's like always mystical. Like you're never gonna hard magic the Feywild.
Right. Yeah. It feels sort of beyond. It feels like all the exciting stuff is almost beyond saving throws. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the. There's something. It's one of the few times I think. And again, maybe it's just the themes are really easy to connect with for players because they have so many like kind of pop culture references to latch onto. You know, going far back, like Alice in Wonderland, or sort of like fables, or like old German folklore. Like they have all these things floating around that sort of connect in these kind of various ways to what the Feywild may mean.
Sure.
But those encounters and those times in the Feywild, like my players have basically like will shut up completely. Like they will not speak to NPCs in the Feywild for fear of what may happen because the magic exists in a non-spell capacity. It's just
it's just
sort of there. Yeah, it's floating all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that vibe is as easy to achieve anywhere
places.
else in
Yeah, I think the only place that has maybe a similar vibe is the Underdark. Has kind of that same like, you know, anything could happen kind of vibe, but it is much more, I think, like horror driven, of like, oh, we could be attacked by a fucking monstrosity at any point.
Right.
Rather than like, ooh, like spooky mystical magic, which is a very different thing.
Totally.
Okay, I think I'm approaching being quasi done.
Okay.
I don't know.
You are landing it. I can be done anytime.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say. I mean, it's all very. It is not very, I think, clear, but you know that can be part of it, is going through and explaining.
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Do you wanna go first?
Sure.
Okay. Let me pull up your stream nice and big.
All right. Let me know if that side of the screen with my scrawled map is clear or not. Like I said, I did not.
Oh my god!
I did not care about your 140 square feet.
Yours is so organized. Jesus Christ! That looks like a blueprint. What the fuck?
Yeah, well.
Oh my god! Mine is gonna look like a kid's drawing.
Well, I appreciate that.
Ah.
So here's the big idea. Here's what we went with.
Yeah.
Uh, it could be a lot of different things. It could fit into a lot of different places. But
Sure.
one interpretation is that it's a sunken ship that went through some particular waters, and this is a piece of that. Let's say the players are looking for treasure,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's some amount of it or most of the ship that is underwater. This particular flooded compartment that they would navigate through is kind of a play on like the classic like swinging platforms sort of navigation from gosh, what am I thinking of? It's from the it's one of those kind of classic dungeons. I've got some terrain that follows it up, but like basically it's a flooded compartment where there are platforms to use, and basically there are whirlpools throughout this area where like a single slip and you go down into the whirlpool, which then sucks you into one of these 4 other chambers with different problems. So
I see. Okay.
this is you know, also potentially the type of trap. It's sort of a it's not so much. It's a little bit of a trap. It's more so something to overcome, sort of a jumping puzzle, I guess. But also, it's a place where the party could legitimately be separated, because if you fall up here, then you're in one or the other.
Unless you actively, especially if you go to either side, like if one person gets separated to the left and one person gets separated to the right,
yeah, and then you have a decision. If one person kind of biffs it into the water, then okay, do we all follow them down so that we stay together? Especially if I was very loose with these kind of ideas, but if you go into chamber A here, then there's a water weird down there. So you know, maybe the player that ends up down there alone, they hear cries from they hear shouts for help, and maybe everybody goes into help, or they just say, well, you know, they'll re-roll a character, I guess. B would be more of like a typical, I guess, trap in this setting, where some sort of a grasping vines or some kind of moss underneath the water that sort of grabs onto, and that they have to sort of break free before they drown. So that would be an idea for that. Then I just wrote for C, poisonous water. That feels like the right kind of vibe.
Yeah, fair enough.
Seeing a hallway that should connect here. And this one's kind of far out there, but I think could be cool. I don't know the right name for it, but in this D room, dragon turtle babies. So this might be a hint of things to come in this aquatic dungeon, but whatever the big could be a threat, could just be sort of a creature, right, that presents a challenge. And let's say it's a dragon turtle, then it's got some spawn that are hanging out in that room that could also be a threat. So that's the big idea of the flooded compartment.
The dragon turtle babies, we are close. I see a lot of opportunities for meshing here.
Nice.
Okay, I just shared on the collab cam. I shared over to you. I don't know if you can see the tablet.
I think I can. So for anybody in my stream, because I don't have the setup necessary to pull over the visuals, but there's a link in the description of this stream over to Megaphone Man's stream, and you can see what he's sharing with me there. Next time we do this, I'll figure out the video piece. But.
Yeah, no problem. It's a test concept.
Exactly.
Okay, so the
nice. I like this. So what'd you draw this with? Is this mouse, or do you have a pen or something for that?
I have a tablet. Yeah. So I have
nice.
a pen.
Fancy.
Yeah, something like that. So the very first thing I thought of was okay, there's going to be a room and it's going to fill up with water. That was my very first thought. And so I made it to where there will be 4 levels, essentially. So there's the floor, there's the kind of the ground level, there's the second level, the third level has a bunch of enemies on it, and then the 4th level has the lever that can trigger whether or not the room is filling up with water, as well as a blocked exit. And then the entire there are these 2 large support beams that are held up by these weak spots, and if you down all 5 weak spots, they will fall and take out these 2 balconies that kind of look down on the center of the room.
Nice.
So that is the first one, and then when they when they first walked in, there's a boulder, there's kind of a torn, shredded log, and there is this kind of like not trebuchet, ballista looking setup that has a rope connected up to this balcony where there's one goblin that has the rope.
Nice.
And in here is the sleeping pen for a black dragon wormling, which are the ones that can swim and breathe water.
Nice.
So this entire room and setup, these goblins found this black dragon egg and are raising a black dragon to take over the nearby whatever.
All right.
And so all of these on the ground are like its toys, and this is its playpen that they've stumbled into. And
Nice.
so all of the goblins, except for one, are up on the 3rd level, and they will actively mock the party and talk a lot of good shit on them, trying to get them to leave partially. Because I don't think the dragon wormling is maybe 100% loyal. It's not 100% trained, tame sort of thing.
Of course not.
So they will. The bosses can jump up and trigger the lever to start filling the room from the bottom with water, and then the actual pen that contains the wormling is behind a hidden door. That maybe the goblins open it up as like a fear tactic, maybe they don't, and the party finds it. And then they also connecting, so there's no connection between the ground and the 2nd floor. And it's a 10 feet difference. So that's jumpable for a lot of like barbarians or fighters.
Right.
And then the 2nd and 3rd story do have a ladder, but it's one of those ladders you can like pull up to disconnect them.
Right.
And then the 4th level isn't really a level. It's more like a large roof kind of area, but they could jump up to these support pillars if they were going to take this exit right here.
Nice.
So yeah.
Feels very water temple-y, which is I think a good thing.
Yeah,
raising and lowering levels. We were kind of chatting about that idea over here too. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Definitely.
I like that they've like maybe taken up residence here or something, and maybe deeper in. Like there's a part of the area that they don't really go into. That maybe has the bigger threats. I
like it.
So I'm trying to think. So I kind of pictured it to where, there's this kind of generic tunnel, so that when the water is filling up, it will actually fill up this room. So we could either have yours before or after, or
totally
we could theoretically have one of your offshoots. Maybe this is more of like instead of this being flat, it's more diagonal. And maybe one of the offshoots dumps them into this room. Yeah.
I feel like the different
punishment.
routes through. Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, because that's an interesting like this whole route in to the space could almost be, it's almost like a natural danger because of the whirlpools and just the nature of the water and stuff. So it's almost just you can try to go in that way to get into the dungeon, but it's going to be harder. But nobody's going to know you're coming. But obviously, it's not the nicest way through.
Yeah. That's true. I'm thinking. So yours, I am picturing, because yours has that water, and mine, assumingly, has water above it, because it's going to flood down into it. So mine would be under yours somehow.
It could. So like depending on the nature, like I don't. This is like the dumbest sentence I've said in a long time. I don't exactly know much about water physics, and That's like
I
an
don't think most
understatement.
people that aren't physicists know much about water physics.
Or like, yeah, like at the very least, experienced plumbers.
Yeah.
So, but I almost imagine that like if like let's say that it's a fully fleshed out dungeon or structure, or even in the case that it's some sort of a ship that was designed to withstand this particular, turbulent water.
Uh-huh.
It would be interesting if it allowed, especially these mechanisms you're talking about. It's almost like the ship or the structure or the dungeon can almost create its own kind of air pockets and force the water into different areas. Um,
Sure.
it
It,
could
it
also be
can
fun.
it has like a
Yeah,
pressure mechanism in the wall somehow, yeah.
right. And there could be fun hints to that when players are coming in. It's like their ears instantly like are popping, right? And then there's like an
Oh.
initial like adjustment where they're like they feel like they just went into like a hermetically sealed or like a some sort of the what do you call it, like the altitude just shifted on them or something like that. That
Yeah,
could be
and
fun.
you could play with that a lot. If they're expecting like a water rolls downhill sort of situation, but you've been
Sure.
foreshadowing all of these pressure mechanics, you can then play with that expectation of they see maybe a large pool of water and they're like, "Well, we're above it.
Right.
We're good." Um,
Well, and to connect that idea, especially like as we, because yours has more of a has like a contraption. It feels there's some mechanical components, levers and
certainly.
switches and things that change.
Yeah, yeah.
And we could also like connect that to mine. One or more of my kind of offshoot rooms could have sort of a trash compactor vibe from Star Wars, where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe half of them are broken, but in the other ones, like this is sort of like a large plunger that comes down. This is sort of how massive shifts in pressure happen throughout the structure. Um,
Oh, so
and
yours
so
has the actual like pressure mechanics, and
these
maybe it's on some sort
these
of
rooms
timer.
these rooms sort of like that kind of maybe pushes to help adjust the water levels in different areas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe, I mean, that's another way to connect them too, and also
Sure.
a fun way to put like a timer on, you know, some of these rooms where maybe they're kind of busted. They're not fully like there's probably a way to navigate around it or whatever, so you're not going to get necessarily crushed. But
Yeah, yeah. No,
in
and I
case
like
of
the
that.
idea of my kind of pillar being almost directly like dead center under this. And so
Yeah.
maybe there was a way, like, before both of them, like maybe towards the entrance,
Hmm.
there's maybe a hidden door that the goblins use to get down.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
goes directly into their area if the party happens to find it, and it'll be a much easier way to go through that goblin encounter, or just a possibility for stealth.
I mean,
Um,
and in some cases, even like if I imagine sort of there's stairs going up where water is actively flowing down, but
mhm.
there's no sign of enemies. Or you can go down this place that seems drier, but you can hear and maybe even see enemies, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting choice
Yeah, you can
where it's like
hear
which one of
some language, and maybe
these
if they
routes.
speak Goblin, they can kind of pick up what's being said. Um, oh, I like that. I like because I always, whenever I put the players at a junction in the road, I always want them to have something to make a choice on, like something
Yeah,
to base their choice. I don't want them to just like pick left randomly.
randomly,
Yeah.
right? Like what could entice them about these different directions?
So I really like the idea of the water flowing down, as
Hmm.
opposed to the voices. And so yeah, they can
Sure.
they can either go up or down, and then certain ones of yours might just
Hmm.
drop them kind of straight into a chute. Maybe
Totally.
they're like food chutes. Oh, even when you're talking about the trash
Well,
compactor, that could be how the
totally.
goblins feed the
Hmm.
dragon. So things get
Right.
dropped down into this bottom area from like B or C or something.
Right.
And
The fun part about that too is that it creates a situation where there could be a timer and a seemingly negative fail state. You're going to get sucked down into wherever this goes, but it's not
yeah.
fatal. It just changes the dynamic. It just creates a now higher stakes situation where you don't know where you're going to land. You don't know exactly what. Again, right? This is sort of the slip and slide of doom, kind of going down further and further into this
I
place.
love the slip and slide of doom. That's perfect. That's the name of it now on the map.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah, that's what it gets.
this
It's the title.
is the slip and slide. Um, okay, so that.
Cool.
And do you think that that connects to all or some of yours?
I think so, and I think that since you have the black dragon concept, I'm gonna say then, and I don't know, I've never used really a dragon turtle,
Mm-hmm.
but let's just say there's some sort of a turtle. I like the idea of a wise old turtle that's not crazy about what's happening, who's maybe being
Um,
harmed
yeah, he's lived here for
by
a
what they're doing.
while, and
That's
he
right.
like the goblins can't push him out; they're not strong enough.
Like there are two forces here, right? There are two
Mm-hmm.
forces that pulling at one another, and he's basically dampened. So it creates a situation where they could even potentially speak to or communicate in some way with this like really dangerous kind of ancient turtle.
Yeah,
Could help sway things one way or the other, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the turtle's not a threat either,
right.
right?
And
Because
if
which
they
is sort of fun.
somehow talk their way through the goblin encounter, maybe the
Yeah.
goblins like give them something. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
like wear this armband.
Right.
I'm trying to think of a name. Buckets won't attack you if you're wearing the armband. It smells
Right.
too good. And then
Right.
if they see the dragon turtle later, the dragon turtle sees the armbands and is like, "Duh, you've been talking to the goblins, motherfucker."
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a true sense of like two forces, and obviously there's one that we should probably feel more kindness toward, but that again, that doesn't mean not a threat, doesn't mean that it couldn't go sour.
Oh,
So I
certainly.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. If they misrepresent themselves, maybe it has like a very strong certain moral leaning, like maybe it just like doesn't accept lies, no matter how small. Um
Or the yeah, it'll help or it'll view them kindly, but this is a little bit maybe too fetch quest for a dungeon. But it's got these turtle babies that are at risk somewhere in the dungeon. If you can retrieve those and bring them back, then it'll consider. Otherwise,
Oh.
you're just another light. The players are just goblins on a different timeline. They'll eventually be a threat, just like the goblins are. Right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So they have to like prove themselves before it'll
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
anything.
Maybe
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
it's one thought.
that connects to the entry, connects to the entry, which also has.
All right, chats. We're gonna definitely need names for these black dragons and this
And the
dragon turtle.
Oh yeah.
Names are the hardest thing.
Names are always the hardest thing. I spent probably 20 or 30 minutes on my BG3 character's name, and then it ended up being Fish.
Fish, Fish is a good name.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong
Fish
with
the
that. Is
Githyanki.
it? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is it spelled like fish, or does it have sort of a different,
No, it's spelled like fish.
just spelled like fish?
Just
Okay, all
spelled like
right,
fish. It was originally going to
love
be
it.
our dog's name. Our dog, we were gonna have a dog named Fish, but then we got her and she didn't look like a fish, so now she's Bird.
I hear that that's really common in dogs, and that
Look like
they don't
fish.
generally look like fish. But I don't know.
She does look like a bird. It's crazy.
All right,
And we have another
that's
dog named
that's
Bug. She does as she has grown, she has looked more and more platypus-like. That is true.
but that name doesn't really roll off the
No,
tongue quite as well.
platypus does not roll off the tongue. Hi, platypi. Hello.
Plate, platy. Sugi
Uh,
Ouroboros. Yeah, I kind of it feels like the which would that be? Would that be the dragon or the turtle? It feels like the turtle could be another source too of sort of reaching out. I don't know. You can see how quickly I go like, oh, that's an interesting idea, and then I just start making stuff up. Um,
no, that's
I
fine.
could see it. I could see this old giant turtle like calling the players to help them telepathically, like
Mm,
not almost like a siren, like not even necessarily with noble intentions, but they would say that, right? They may come
right.
across people like, oh, there's some this beautiful voice is calling, and it's like this old crusty turtle who
This
is
old
just
crusty
doing what it
turtle.
can to to bring people to help. Ooh, and then there could be evidence of failed adventurers that have already fallen here.
Oh yeah, and yeah, there definitely could be evidence of failed adventures, and if they ask the turtle about it, it's like, well, yeah, of course, no one's succeeded yet. Like, I just, I'm just
There could
going
even,
through you mortals until you succeed.
what do you think of maybe even a darker side to it? Is there some like even a darker calculation there where it's like if once the dragon is fed and grows, they'll leave. So if he brings enough adventurers in, then that'll speed this process up. Otherwise, like a
And maybe,
normal natural
maybe the
growth would take a
turtle,
long time.
if they really get on the turtle's good side, maybe the turtle and the dragon turtle and the dragon, even maybe have like a little bit of a bond. And
Sure.
the dragon turtle, the party's like, oh, like, once the dragon is grown, won't it turn on you? And it's like, no. Like, the goblins think they have it under control, but I'm really the one who has control of the dragon. It takes effort. I don't want to do it, but
right.
Oh,
all these fun ethical dovetails in the dungeon in different places and ways that it could go. And it's fun to have those like threads to pull on, because who knows what the players are going to engage with, right? And then that's the version of the story that they get, but it's almost like it's like narrative. It's the narrative left right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, well, I've got this turtle who's a complex creature. The dragon is probably not very complex. The dragon everybody's manipulating.
Yeah,
but this turtle's got these,
I think the dragon is
decisions.
Yes, it's like megafauna. It's mini megafauna.
That's right. Yeah, it's a big weapon that people are pointing in different directions.
At least at this point.
But the dragon, the dragon turtle could be kind to the party with this kind of secret that it's hiding, or it could be hateful to the party, in which case now that secret is maybe found in a different way, and it's like, oh, we hate this turtle thing, actually. Maybe we need to sick the dragon on the turtle.
How what's the CR of a dragon turtle? I don't even know.
Well, whatever you want it to be.
Oh wait, is dragon turtle, is that an Avatar thing, or is that a D&D thing?
No, it's technically considered a gargantuan dragon in its own right. Based on the stat block I'm looking at, it looks like it came from, I don't know which book it's from.
Dragon turtle.
Looks like a basic rules creature.
Oh my
but it's like
god, it's CR17. Jesus Christ.
It's a big boy.
Okay, what if?
Like I said, you could adjust that.
Well, what if we don't? What if we don't adjust it, but it is grown into the temple? So it has been here so long that it can't even move. Like the temple was maybe even built around it. It has been here for thousands and thousands of years, and the entire place, it can't even move. Its muscles are atrophied. But it still can think.
On its back.
Yeah, maybe it's on its back. And because that's it being on its back is a very clear sign to the players of like, this thing isn't as powerful as you think it is. But like, yeah, they can't even see its arms. The entire room that it's in, like, it presses out of the room. Like, it's like crumbled around it.
Well, it also gives it the ability to sort of speak in a way that is almost sort of everywhere and nowhere, like an echo through the place. Like, it doesn't even have to be like a telepathic thing. It's just like when it speaks, it's like you're going to hear it every which way.
Well, and then that could even trigger a potential like escape collapse sequence of it's basically like, even if they make it upset, it is just going to use its like telepathic powers, unless they make it really upset and then, really like try to attack it or something. Then it might bring the entire place down around them. Like, there's a potential threat there for the entire collapse of the temple.
Totally.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. I mean, in the way that this thing could, you mentioned maybe because you said Avatar, this thing could absolutely be, sort of a living avatar of some sort of aquatic or like sea god, right? Like, this is just Because I like that idea of an enemy not necessarily being, yes, it's got a stat block. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to fight it like a monster,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, especially when you talk about escape sequence, it's like the most that anybody could do is sort of stall whatever's happening long enough that this thing basically slumbers again.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like avoiding it, damaging it, almost the way like when you talk about like knocking down pillars and things like that, like the
yeah.
environment becomes fighting it, right? And
Yes.
navigating it and figuring it out is how they defeat it.
Yeah, and maybe there's even like something that it really doesn't want them to take. It's like, okay,
Right.
you can have everything from down there except for this thing. That thing needs to stay
Sure.
there, and that could
Yeah.
potentially trigger the escape sequence as well. If
Right.
they do take that.
Which could just be hundreds of thousands of little turtle eggs.
Yeah.
It could be a new threat, maybe.
Yeah.
Even though who could be afraid of baby turtles? But
Yeah.
maybe it's a different spawn. I mean, it could be anything, right?
Yeah. Well, and people in chat are saying change the goblins to kobolds. That's Get the draconic theme. Get full draconic.
Just lean into it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
especially then if you have like a ranger that has dragons as their favorite enemy, or I guess in Tasha's that's
Sure.
not a thing anymore, but generally,
Right.
then if
Yeah,
someone
that's a cool-
speaks
that's a cool thought.
draconic, it's more and more and more useful.
Mhm.
Yeah. Change.
It could even be so this is now and I'm sure there's like a part 2 and 3 to this we're supposed to be doing, but like whatever.
Yes.
As we flesh out the entirety of like the whole thing. If the kobolds are there and what they're doing is raising this black dragon, wouldn't it be great if the kobolds have just completely misunderstood everything they've read in this temple about what it's for? Like, wouldn't it just be fantastic if this cult has formed and they're like, yes, black dragon, yes, we will raise you and do the thing. And it's like, this was all about this sort of avatar of water, this dragon being.
And they're
just totally missing it.
They're missing it. They think that like that they don't even like understand like what that thing is. It's tried to talk to them, but they're just misinterpreting everything that it sends them. Like all of these visions that it's sending them, they're misinterpreting everyone.
Yeah, it could even be a what do you call it? Noel, baby turtles can be demanding. That's a really good point.
No.
So maybe the thing that the dragon turtle wants is for the players to basically dismantle, not only to stop whatever ritual the kobolds are responsible for, but to change it or redirect it to what the temple's really for, right? Which is about sort of this next stage that this dragon turtle is trying to, maybe what the temple is for is sort of a true reawakening. It wants to move again. It wants to shift the seas or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe it's withered. Maybe even it can't full on talk. It can only speak to them in like visions that it puts into their mind. And that's how the kobolds originally misunderstood it, is because they just didn't understand the visions that it was trying to send to them. But the more bestial dragon, the more like vibes based dragon wormling is much more easy to manipulate even through these abstract visions.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to part 2, but I'm loving the beginning of it. Oh my gosh.
Sure.
Okay. So section 2, little bit bigger.
Okay.
I put it at like 160 square feet. Clearly we're
I was going to say that matters to us a lot, right?
Yeah, not worrying much. And then interesting point is a thing that will help in section 3. The section that we haven't written yet.
Sure.
So there will be some sort of magical item, maybe a very distinct clue for this future section.
Okay.
That is the thing that I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Okay. Oh man, I have to make sure I catch back up with chat. You can't take much for granted in the Feywild. Oh no, I'm so behind.
That's pretty far behind. in our conversation.
Well, it's because it's on Twitch. I'm worse at reading Twitch than I am at YouTube. And the multi-stream, I thought I'd fixed it, but I didn't.
Oh, wah. That's all right. You go dive into the past. You
Putting in Nanareth as a name idea for whatever. I mean, I like that for the dragon turtle. Nanareth? Or Nenareth? 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 I don't know. Could also be the head kobold. All right. They're all complaining about doing fluid dynamics. Fair. How's Raknalathar? Raknalathar? David? Yeah, we're getting two ends of the spectrum. Name. Volraxis? Poor Mustang with no love on Twitch. I agree. Don't worry, Mustang and Hans. I'll get to you eventually, only like 40 minutes later. Alright, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about... I'm thinking about this ritual cult type situation. Mega hates his Twitch audience. Confirmed for legal purposes. This is a joke for legal reasons. That's a joke. We still appreciate you, Mustang. I appreciate Mustang. Oh, now I see Hans. Just kidding. No, Hans, you're everywhere. I understand. No, I love all the Twitch frogs. I promise. Let's see. Double duty. Well, the multi-stream is supposed to fix that, but I don't know. Oh, hi. You're wet. He's so fluffy. Okay. Mega trying desperately to roll a nat 20 on deception. I'm really debating between the type of clue, chat, you know? I'm really debating between, like, I maybe need to mute the collab cam. I don't even know if I can. How do I do that? Oh, I can't. Okay.
Well, I can stop the video, though.
No. You're good. No, I meant...
Oh, you're saying the cam on your side.
Yeah. How do I mute my mic? I don't think I can, but that's fine. I just won't be too specific out loud.
Yeah, I'm similar to you. I'm not really focused on it, so you should be fine.
All right, let's think. Thinking. The dogs are going insane. The H. That is all I've got so far. Ryan is very active. Oh my gosh, look at him go. He's got something.
I talk with my hands. I can't help it. we're vibing on ideas.
Oh my god.
That was a thing. Something happened there.
Paige just threw a ball into my face for the dog.
Now you're fine.
I've gotten nothing done besides a giant H, and chat was roasting me for it.
Oh, that's okay. You never know where the inspiration is going to come from.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. Chat, why can't you be so supportive? Ooh. I keep thinking of puzzles, but we already did a puzzle. Although, isn't that a puzzle? It's more of a trap. Let's do a puzzle. Oh. Okay. Huh. H hype. Okay. So I'm thinking this is right there. Okay. So this is broken through. I think this used to be ritual. Yeah. Chamber and mechanics. Yeah, I had a really strong base idea for part 1, and I have not had the same light bulb moment for this, but I think I've got it. You know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering because I want to talk to you guys, but I don't want Mr. Man to overhear. So I'm wondering if I can like duplicate my audio source and then
Does Streamlabs give you the ability to because for me, obviously I'm dialed in differently than you, so I can mute it.
You can just mute my mic.
I can mute me for you and still be streaming it out.
And I can also mute you for me, but I can't do the opposite way because it's
now
just
I can mute you on my end so that I don't hear you and it doesn't go to my stream, but then I'm not going to know when to put you back.
Yeah, then I would have to be like, Ryan.
Wave the, yeah, I'm doing it. We're off on another tangent for 2 hours and swimming away.
Yeah. I need to generate a new microphone source, but I don't know exactly how to do that. Let me see. It might be as easy as literally just adding a new audio input capture and just making it the same thing. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. I think that's getting duplicated on Stream's end. But yes, okay. Wait. Ooh. I've almost got it. Okay. So now I have it not outputting to you. So no echo, I believe. But it's an ASMR stream. Now. Beautiful. Okay. So I think now you guys should be able to hear me, but Ryan cannot. Ryan, if you can hear me, say something. Say something, Ryan. Okay, I'm pretty sure that it is an ASMR stream. I can hear you on Twitch with no echo. Cool. Ryan looks so confused. So now, but if I turn this back on, test, can you hear me now, Ryan? Okay, I saw you respond, but I didn't hear it. But that's perfect. That's all I need to know. I figured out how I can mute my mic. You can hear me. Okay. So yeah, I cannot hear you at all. Oh, I know exactly why I'm an idiot. Uh-oh. Okay, I figured it out. The thing that makes me echo is also the thing that I hear Ryan through. Uh-oh. That's fine. Like I said earlier, this is a test stream. So I want to monitor off, but I also don't want it to come through. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. This is weird. Oh wait, I know exactly how to do it. I just figured it out. I brain blasted. We're good. All right. Anyways, technical difficulties fixed. We can now go back to our giant H. I'm louder. Oh. Okay. Yeah, Inkdrive, you're right. We're solving a stream puzzle as well as creating an actual puzzle. Okay. So now I'm pretty sure I've confirmed that you guys can hear me, but Ryan cannot. So this is what I'm thinking, right? Technical difficulties. We have Mega Bingo. No. Just not a way to make, just a way to not make dungeon designs. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I think that originally there was this ritual chamber, right? And it has some sort of thing you have to accomplish that will produce another thing. And then they had this mechanics control room that had all of the pipings and pressures and machinery and valves. And this is where there's going to be, I think most of it is taken up by machinery. And then there is a small hole that has been punched through the two, like between the two. And so I think it's going to be a situation where, you know, they have to do things in this side to affect things over here. So they have to like communicate back and forth what's going on. And I think more pertinently, we need some sort of timer. We need some sort of threat in order to make sure that this is not a peaceful interaction. But I'm thinking that it's something that, you know, maybe they can defeat, but it's harder. I'm thinking maybe some sort of automated defense system of some kind, or maybe a like a neutral spirit, like a ghost that has like a certain path of some kind. So they just have to be like constantly moving around. Maybe the entire thing's like flood off and on in like a timing. You know what? With Ryan's original thing where it has like, you know, a certain pattern and a certain timing, I'm thinking that should be it, is that certain parts flood. Or maybe there's like certain things that happen in certain segments and they have to figure out the timing of the clock. Sort of Hunger Games Catching Fire-esque is kind of my general thought process. Button switch one side affects the conditions in the other. Exactly, Daniel. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking that, you know, this side is just kind of littered with machinery. So it's like, you know, fucking machinery here. Oh no, it's a fucking box. And then the box has fucking pipes, and the pipes go into the wall, and they're like, I don't know what this is. And then there's like a T junction right there, and then this one goes up into the fucking roof. And maybe there's a valve right there. Like, I don't think I can actually make the full out puzzle here on stream, but this is kind of the vibe of the puzzle, I think. And I want it to be, I think this side to be like fairly fucking cramped, you know? And maybe if they want to do something, really quick, then they, might have to make acrobatics checks to get over big, kind of lumbering areas of machinery. And what could even be better? So we have kind of two things going on here, right? They have to solve the puzzle on this side of like what arrangement of like valves and water makes the right conditions over here in the ritual chamber. But what could be even better is if this side is overloaded. So this side is doing double duty just to make the puzzle that much more difficult. So we have this side, some sort of, let's see. So this is some sort of pipe, slash water, puzzle. And the puzzle, so the puzzle affects conditions in ritual room, and also, I don't know how, but also effects, not affects. Where's the eraser? Affects conditions in the ritual room, and also affects roaming slash time slash pattern based danger. So the pattern of danger is changing as they try to solve the puzzle. So they not only have to solve what is the puzzle, like what are the actual win conditions here? How is it affecting the danger that we're experiencing? So they have to like do both things. So because I don't think that I want anything to intelligently be fucking with them. This is purely action and consequence. So I wouldn't do something this complicated where like it's an overloaded source and puzzle like this if they also were like fighting kobolds or if they were also fighting whatever. But I like this automated sort of switching of the danger tied to the same inputs that actually get them their nice end state. And I think third and final one, I think there is an optional better end state that is more difficult to I need to go up there to figure out, but gives gives extra reward. So we have like maybe this is maybe it's not even a ritual necessarily. I need to figure out exactly what I want this room to be, because maybe it's not ritual chamber. It feels weird to have the ritual chamber be in part 1 or part 2, so I'm actually kind of off ritual chamber now. But there's some sort of end state that they need to get in here, probably to progress, I think, like at all. Like I think this is a bottleneck type room. And if they do the optional better end state that's more difficult to figure out, they also maybe get a magic item, or maybe they find a cache of like potions of water breathing, or maybe they get blessed with like maybe there's like mechanical like maybe there's like rebreathers, like ancient rebreathers that where like a panel on the wall pops open. And that could be even better. Oh, that's what I'm thinking. The extra reward are old like I'm thinking like mechanics, like repairmen. Rebreathers that let party breathe. Breathe. What the fuck? That was weird. Breathe water. And I'm thinking they are just like hidden behind a panel, but let's add an optional state in here. Either found through puzzle, or really high DC check that has to be directed at a particular area that is narrated as looking weird. So I'm thinking we give two kind of alternate states. Either they can just puzzle out the puzzle, right? So that's just like a way that any of them can get it. Or we reward someone who has like a super high investigation, right? I don't even think like I'm not even thinking a perception check. I'm thinking, at least at base, my mind is going to a high investigation or a high history. I think if you have a really high history, you might know that like ancient mechanics used to have these sorts of panels or whatever. And maybe this could even be a 2-part check where like the history check lowers the DC for the investigation check, or you just give it to them based off of the history. One of the two. But I like that of really rewarding someone who's invested a lot in a skill, or just allowing them to puzzle it out through an optionally harder puzzle. That's what I'm thinking right now. Also, collab cam disappeared. Did Ryan leave me? Is he taking a break? Let's see. No, he's not. He's just off cam. Very sad face. Oh no. For some reason, the cam just closed itself. He's still here. Look at him. Interesting. Kind of works with an idea I thought of, but I had it so the clues only show up in the water, so the players have to risk going into it for a period of time. Deadly, that's pretty fucking cool. I do like that a lot. Oh man, I'm wondering, part of the way that they might be able to solve this puzzle is so affects the roaming. So I'm thinking, so I like that a lot, Deadly. So, solution can, we'll say this. Blueprints. Oh, wait. Blueprints are on a tablet that can be found on one of the kobold bosses. So there is a tablet that the kobold bosses might have, if they loot the bodies, but looks like maybe. Okay, so I love rewarding language proficiencies. Written in Aquan, because Aquan is a language, right? Or am I thinking of Primordial? I think I'm thinking of Primordial. Aquan's the name of the town. That's right. So written in Primordial, dragon, turtle can translate. Tablet will translate to common if fully submerged for 3 rounds. Like, you can see that even with the like the puzzle, with like getting the optional reward, I really like to offer my players multiple ways to acquire those things. So like I like it to where like they can just puzzle it out. Maybe I reward their skills. Maybe I reward like a very specific action. And then I also like, even within the clue, there being multiple different, maybe coincidental things where like I reward them if they know Primordial. I reward them if they go down the social route with the dragon turtle. I reward them if they do this very specific action. Like, none of these are easy things. Like, none of these are things that will just happen randomly, probably. But I want to provide multiple reward paths for my players. And so when they go through this pipe puzzle, I honestly want to offer even another way through the pipe puzzle, but I haven't really thought of it yet. So that any way that they choose to engage with it or go through it, it feels hyper specific. So it feels very rewarding when they actually get through it and they're like, oh my gosh, like, we just fucking like banked it, dude. Like, we just nailed it. How like, we're so smart for having thought to submerge it for 3 rounds, not knowing that there are 2 other paths to get there that will feel equally rewarding. Like, the person that knows Primordial is like, oh my god, like, what are the chances that Primordial would have come up here? Like, this was the only way through, not knowing that there are, again, 2 other paths through. So I really, really like that sort of thing where you build in these hyper specific, win states, but you build in a lot of them so that it feels nice and rewarding. Chess timer. Oh, the H did kind of look like a chess timer. Have you accounted for the mending cantrip? Ooh, no. But I love rewarding clever mending. So I'm thinking, I don't know the exact state. So when I eventually like publish this dungeon on World Anvil, I'll actually work out the internal mechanics of this water puzzle in a bit more detail. But that's a good thing to keep in mind, especially if part of the conceit of the puzzle is that part of it is broken. You need to account for the mending cantrip. And I would say reward it. I would say if you can cleverly reward a good use of mending, that feels awesome for the person that took mending. One side mechanical, crafted, other side nature based. That's kind of where I'm rolling with this, Daniel. I'm thinking a little bit. I was originally thinking, ooh, you know what? I think that maybe this other side is sort of a because I was thinking originally religious, but I do like nature, and that nature can allow us to hide things. So we have the other side of the H, but it's like it is like a natural looking cavern. So naturalistic cavern. Oh, doggy. Oh, the doggies are fighting. Naturalistic looking cavern, but I think that there are a couple of like stalactites, right? So it's all kind of cavey, wavy shit where, you know, it doesn't look, you know, intelligently designed. But to anyone who maybe has like a high passive insight or something, you know, maybe there's like a lot of rock pillars and formations, but there are like 5 kind of distinct ones. And these are the rock formations that you need to get wet. Like maybe all of these pipes will like cast like little like bits of rain down, sort of like a sprinkler system on this cavern. And maybe there's even like a riddle from the dragon turtle about the waters of the earth and and returning the life essence to the ground that bore it. And the entire puzzle is getting all of these different sprinklers to rain down on the correct pillars in here. But maybe, I've got part of the puzzle, right? So all of these, basically, I've got part of the puzzle. Controls, ceiling, sprinkler, system, specific areas / features have to get rained on. And I got it. So now the alternate win state feature that needs to get rained on for optional reward isn't under sprinkler. So it doesn't get naturally rained on in the puzzle, but I think it has like the same like markings if they can if they can figure out what the markings are, like what makes these pillars special. Maybe it has like half a marking, or it has the marking but it's slightly different and changed. Maybe it has like the markings of the mechanics. I've got it. Doesn't have same markings as pillars that are required but does have the same markings as the mechanics tablet. Because this is like, you know, they have to get the water on this in order to open up the panel. And this requires water redirection. Requires some sort of water Redirection. Yeah. Oh my god, that just I got too excited. I wanted to finish it. Okay. Oh my god, this is so many words. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm liking it. I think I'm liking it. Instructions written on the wall, not in common. I love not in common. We're on the same fucking page. Wall broken and is missing some bits. Ooh, that's a good idea, Daniel. So if they don't have the tablet. Hey guys. Hey. And that's a good way if they do have the tablet to draw their attention back to it. So where did I talk about the tablet? Aha. So to link these together, blue. Oh no, that's not a B. Blue prints also on wall, but mostly destroyed. Just enough to give them a clue back towards the tablet, I think. Or maybe give them a very slight hint for free. Aquan is a dialect of Primordial. Oh, okay. Tablet from the Kobold Press. Exactly. What about rewarding if they use a feature of their race, species, or part of background? I mean, I love that. One of my struggles and one of my general struggles with background and race species features is that a lot of them are pretty lackluster. So that is something that I would work in. Like, someone knowing Primordial, I think, is actually more likely than someone having a very specific race or background feature. Because anyone could take Primordial with one of their extra languages, or anyone could gain Primordial as the campaign goes on. So it's much, much more likely that even for a wacky, uncommon race like Primordial, you will have someone that knows it than it is for like any sort of specific background or class or race/species feature. Especially since they can't gain that they can't change or gain that as the game goes on. That all said, that just means that I'm not going to work it into the dungeon by default. If I have one of my players that I want to specifically target, like I want them to have a win and a reward, then I will maybe like add in a clue as part of, I talked about like that 80-20%. When I'm prepping for the actual session, I might be like, oh man, the bugbear hasn't like really been shining the last session or two. Like, I'm going to put in something that specifically, would benefit from his long reach or, something like that. So I do like that, but it's not something I build in before I'm doing like session before prep. Watching someone brainstorm is fun. Hell yeah. I'm glad. I thought this idea was cool. Like, it's been marinating up there, but I wasn't quite sure on a lot of the details. But I like it a lot too. I'm having fun. It's very amusing bouncing back and forth between streams too. I can imagine it's a really cool perspective shift. Especially as, we have no idea what we're what we're doing to each other. As a druid, I sometimes would take it Primordial. Oh, I've taken Primordial before. I've taken Primordial on my Ganassi. Currently has Primordial. I think it's a cool language. Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to take Elvish or Primordial on the cleric I made today. I mean, look, I would say that Primordial is the cooler of the tool and can be used in more interesting ways by your DM if your DM's into that. If they aren't super into using languages within their dungeon or their encounter design, Elvish is probably going to be like more bog standardly useful. So it kind of depends. I also like to work my language proficiencies into my backstory a lot of the times, but It's been fun getting my brain firing as well. Fuck yeah, I'm glad. And I'm also glad to be able to like create something from scratch with you, because like it's one thing for me to like analyze Matt's dungeons all the time, but to a certain degree, it's like, all talk, no show. So I'm really happy to be able to kind of create something from scratch and have you guys watch how my brain works when I am constructing these things, and be able to judge my work a little bit more than just my analysis. So I like that part of it a lot as well. Let me make sure. Ooh, we're capturing both Twitch and YouTube. Let's go. I'm gonna refresh chat just to make sure we're current, and I'm gonna let Ryan know that we are ready whenever he is, because I think I'm
make sure
done
you can still hear me on your end.
Oh, I can, and I was actually just telling chat I'm kind of ready whenever you are.
Well, then I think we're in a good spot.
Holy shit, the timing. Okay. Now, mine has a lot more words than last time.
I have some words and stuff too. I started last time. Why don't you go first this time?
Okay. Sounds good. Okay.
Exactly. All right, yeah.
So this is also something that unfortunately I think will take more out of stream time, because it involves a puzzle. And I was like, I don't think I can work out like the exact mechanics of a puzzle right now. I think that would just take too long.
That's fair.
But what I'm generally thinking is that there is this naturalistic kind of cavern, rocky walls, ceilings, floors, with all these kind of, is it stalagmites or tights that are on the floor? I never remember.
Mites go up, tights come down, I think.
Mites go up. Okay, so it has a bunch of stalagmites that maybe have some like markings on them, and then it has basically a sprinkler system built into the ceiling. And then next door, through a non-natural hole in the wall. So this is like very clearly either a part of the ancient ruined nature or something. There is this kind of mechanical control room with pipes and valves and machinery, and the puzzle is kind of like you turn a knob in one room, it affects the state of the other room.
Gotcha.
But I think simultaneously there is like a roving danger, and I think I've maybe figured out what it is. I think that while this liquid used to be water, it has like it is like poison has like seeped into it. So now it is like either like acid rain, or it is something that like the substance is actively damaging to all of the humanoids. And this is an ancient system. It's collapsing. Pipes are broken. Valves will burst if they turn them the wrong way. And so the mechanics control room and the state of it not only affects the end state of the other room, or the current state of the other room, but it also affects maybe this like roving danger. So kind of playing into the mechanical theme that we have going on of these like clock-based like pressure changes and timers. I think that will just naturally be happening, where like, maybe little spurts of mist will be coming out of the pipes at regular intervals. But as they interact with the puzzle, the timing and the pattern of that danger change.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact timer.
Sure, yeah, you figure out the details, yeah.
Right. But so when it comes to, the interesting thing that was supposed to be in here, the thing that will help them out in part 3, I'm thinking that there is an optional better end state. So maybe there's just like 4 pillars that they need to have like water soaked all at the same time in order to complete the puzzle. There is an optional 5th pillar that is not directly able to be soaked. So they have to redirect the water somehow, or the acid or what have you, onto the 5th pillar. And if they manage to do that, a panel pops off the wall and will give them these like old like repairman mechanics rebreathers that allow them to breathe underwater.
I like that.
but maybe they're like one-time use only. Like the filter will run out after a day, so it's only for this dungeon.
Yeah.
And I think that that can either be found through this puzzle that I'm kind of talking about, or I think they can find the panel just through like a really high DC check. I'm thinking like either investigation, maybe history, even for like the history to know what these panels look like.
Sure.
And that way, there's a couple of options to get there. And when it comes to the puzzle as a whole, the actual directions for solving them, I think that the blueprints for the puzzle as a whole are on the wall, but they are mostly destroyed. So they can't really gain much useful information. And there is surviving blueprints on a tablet that can be found on one of the kobold bosses.
Good idea.
But the tablet is written in Primordial. So if you happen to speak Primordial, fuck yeah.
That's a good win for the group, yeah.
Huge win for the group. Can also be translated by the Dragon Turtle if they go the social route. Or will automatically translate itself to common if you submerge it in water for 3 rounds.
Nice.
So adding a lot of like really hyper specific like win states for that, so that when they win, they feel like, oh my god, like we figured it out. They feel like badasses.
Yeah. Totally.
But they never know that there are 3 ways to get there.
Nice.
And then
cool.
I think last thing, the optional pillar that like opens up the rebreather panel. I think it and the tablet have the same like marking on it that means like mechanic or repairman or something. So they can maybe draw a connection there. And yeah, that's what I got.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's cool stuff.
Thank you.
I like it.
All right, what do you got? Lay it on me.
Yes.
How hard is it going to be to sync these up?
You know what? That'll be a good question. Let me switch my camera back over. Just adjusting here.
Please. And I'll make your scene a bit bigger.
All right.
There's a world inside of the dungeon? It's a planet. It's a little big planet.
So the big idea, the big idea here, I think that we got excited about.
Yeah.
Is the idea of a magic item that could be missed, but collecting it and attuning to it, using it, would give benefits both within and out of the temple, but also sort of align you to the dragon turtle.
Oh, okay.
So the gauntlet of Ouroboros, TBD name.
Okay.
But this also helped to sort of like when we think about what the dragon turtle wants to do, it sort of fits with sort of death renewal and.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It wants to. I mean, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Maybe part of its life cycle. I don't know much about dragon turtles, but maybe it has to be reincarnated. Like it's maybe actually like reaching. Maybe it is immortal, but it slowly shrivels and withers away and into like an immortal husk, and it has to be reborn through this ritual to regain youth and vitality.
So I think core to this idea is that the dragon turtle wants to be left to birth its children and effectively flood the land. It wants to cleanse and renew. Okay. That's ultimately what it wants to do. However,
that's hundreds of years away. You adventurers won't need to worry about that. You're just screwing the future generations.
That's 100% right.
Hell yeah.
So the gauntlets allow for moving of water, communicating with the turtle. Water breathing, I like the idea of pass without a breath. So like if 10 feet within the person wearing the gauntlets and they can all breathe through water, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And also the person wearing it basically gains the druid's elemental wild shape just for water. So you can now turn into a water elemental with this gauntlet.
I love that. And that would even help them get the items that I thought. And if they have this, they could just pocket those for later. They don't even need to use them in the dungeon. They're one-time use only, but they could keep them for later if they got this.
So, and this is jumping ahead, but we'll say it now and it'll make more sense. But the curse that comes along with this, because again, wearing this and attuning to it is aligning to the turtle.
Uh-huh.
If the players are to move against it, or to begin to try to stop it. Because at some point, let's say,
They
let's say,
figure
hey,
out
in
the
1,000 years, hey, maybe we don't think that you should. Hey, maybe it's 1,000 years from now, but like you shouldn't destroy the planet. We don't want there to be an apocalypse.
Maybe it's even like 200. So like for the humans in the group, it's like, oh, we'll be dead, but like maybe the elves will still be alive at that point.
Maybe, but I like the idea in the campaign, like it'd be a fun like D&D story where it's like, oh yeah, our party totally helped an apocalypse
end the world just in
one
the
day,
future.
end the world. Yeah, but it didn't happen when we played. So
yeah.
the future
That's
of the
true.
world.
That's true. I do like that. That's fair.
So if they break that sort of covenant, then the person wearing it and attuned to it is now stuck in elemental form. So they're now the water elemental and they can't go back. Maybe that's too far, but that's a fun idea. The water maybe becomes more lethal, and also it sort of acts as a homing device. Now the turtle always knows where they are. They can't sort of hide from it. There may be more to explore there. But how do they get the gauntlet? So the puzzle concept is that there would be a central rotunda. There's some sort of central chamber where on the floor is sort of a crude and very old map of the world that's sort of on a turtle's back. That's sort of the design on the floor.
Sure.
And in this room are 5 pedestals, each of which is expecting a little silver turtle totem. And these totems could be found throughout the various rooms and in alcoves and different places throughout the temple. Also probably taken and worn ornamentally by the kobolds. Like they would have found them and like tied them into, so the players might be picking these up as they go. Like, what the hell? I don't know. Seems like it's valuable.
Yeah.
And on the underside of each of these, so we have a it doesn't rhyme, but we have a poem here. We have an idea.
Ooh, okay.
Ignore this side. That's not the important part. Okay. So collected in whatever order they are and written so that like you can tell where it begins, and then there's lots of ellipses and you can tell where it ends. But these are all just fragmented things written on each of the 5.
Oh, that's so sick.
All together, it would read, long ago, at the time near creation, the waters shifted to land and back again where the shells once pierced the earth, to cleanse the land and start again in 1,000 years. May the water shift once more. Any of these phrases on their own, where the shells once pierced the earth, they go, whatever, right? Like, they don't even care. But by taking these totems that say that and placing them, this effectively is a communion with this is why the gauntlet is given to the D&D group. This is a puzzle, right? Whatever. But you're effectively communicating it back to this entity. And so like whatever unlocks, and it basically gives you the gauntlet, because you almost in like a warlock sense or like a dark paladin sense, it's like you've made a pact.
I love the idea of a puzzle being turned into a ritual, because I think that the term ritual, I think it's really abstracted into, they're raising their hands up and doing magic bullshit. Right. But this is like a ritual. This is exactly what this is. But it's presented as a puzzle, so I don't think the party will look too hard at it.
Well, and that's and it's funny. It's funny the idea that they could like. It's cool because on the one hand, it doesn't matter, and if they act it all out and put all the things in the thing, and like, cool, we got a magic item. Yeah, I can now turn into a water elemental or whatever. But man, if you have a player or two in your group that's like the note takers, or the people that are like going to be taking notes and like writing, what did that say? What, piecing it together, like. If there's even a chance that one of the players can piece together what's going on as they're doing it, they're going to feel like so smart, right? They're going to go like, wait a minute, as I read through this, it's saying that it wants to move the waters over the land. That feels like it would be a bad thing.
That feels like we're signing up for something. I don't know.
Which maybe they do, and then that would be cool too.
I like the curse, but it does feel extreme.
It does.
So I like maybe, you can maybe contain it. I think maybe depending on how much your players like randomness, you could say whenever you choose to use it, no matter what you use it for, you have to turn into the water elemental, and you're stuck there until long rest. Or you're stuck there for like a D4 of days. So that there is an end, like there is like an out, or if they're
and we didn't get to that part, but I think that this would basically be true within the confines of the temple. So by basically reversing what and we haven't really even, that's in part 3, right? We don't know how this helps to achieve that necessarily yet. But if they can either prevent what the dragon turtle is trying to do, or they just leave, I think that the curse is effectively broken. I think you now have probably a cursed gauntlet that doesn't allow communication anymore. This is like, I mean, shit, even if it doesn't stay in this temple, this is a fun item to put in the world where it's like, this did belong to a temple and it's been lost. And so you kind of have some weaker abilities or whatever.
You could. Oh, I'm thinking you could still have it be cursed, but you could downgrade the curse when they leave the temple, and maybe even eliminate the curse if they eliminate the dragon turtle.
I mean, I'm even fine with like if you can. It's sort of like it's like cursed gold or whatever. It's like if you can get it out of the temple. I think really the curse is more geared toward now the dragon turtle doesn't want you leaving. Right, like now it's going to find you. If the water is more lethal and it can control the water, and you're stuck in that form, now, like it's fun that the player that's wearing this is sort of the badass. They're helping everybody move through the dungeon. Easier. They're unlocking doors. They're doing all this. Now all of a sudden, the other players are protecting the elemental water player because they're like maybe they're getting sucked back in constantly, and they have to like find ways to like block the water and prevent them from basically being lost within, because it's like, that's fine, you don't want to be a willing servant, you could still be here as a water golem or whatever.
And you could even make it, now I'm thinking, if they within the confines of the temple, if they want to resist the dragon turtle, they have to get out of water elemental form, and it's like a charisma save or something to even get out of the form while they're in there.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's an interesting, like, what would that be? Or maybe it's like a reverse charge type of thing where they can leave the form, but while they're not in water elemental form, maybe they have disadvantage on things. Maybe they have
within the dungeon.
Like while maybe that's like, okay, that's the balance of like, yes, it's a lot easier for you to stay in this form now. Like it's almost reversed, but if you do disengage, like you're basically going to take some damage or take some exhaustion or have disadvantage on something, like something that would, feel like a good balance.
I like the idea of they can go into water elemental form as often as they want. But they maybe take a level of 1 D&D exhaustion, so not like 5e exhaustion. That would be crazy.
Right. That would get bad really fast.
Yeah, but like the 1 D&D exhaustion where it just gives you like -1 to all the rolls. So it's like every time you get out, it takes effort. The turtle doesn't want you to leave water elemental form. It's holding you back, and it takes effort to shove your way out.
It could even act like what's another is it the Shadow's ability that like it attacks your strength?
Yeah.
So it's like every time, so like the elemental water form is, roll a D4 or a D6 and you lose that number of strength like temporarily while you're in the temple. So it's almost like it's sapping energy from you. And then maybe there are more situations where it's like, hey, we can unlock this or we can shift this. Can you do this? It's like, I don't really want to. Because, every time I can only afford to do it maybe 2 more times, and then I'm basically, I think you die if your strength hits 0.
You do, yeah. If any of your attributes hit 0. I love that.
Attribute? Oh, okay.
I love that, and that would make the puzzle, the water directional puzzle, incredibly easy. So we arrange this puzzle after yours. And after they acquire this gauntlet, and maybe this is like the mine is the barrier, the bottleneck to the final ritual chamber or whatever. And this is like, an optional offshoot that would make the puzzle easier. It would make part 3 easier.
Definitely.
But every time they're going into it, it's like, well, as a level 5 adventurer, you're probably better than a water elemental. like you're more of a threat than a water elemental, but you can do all of these super useful things. So it's like,
That's the biggest thing.
yeah, do I stay in the pass without a breath, communicate with the turtle,
Yeah, do I keep all these benefits that may
Yeah.
come from that with the downside? And there's probably some way of like, there's probably some way, like I said, of using charges or using like short rests or number of times a day. Like it feels like as long as there's sort of an inherent struggle between staying in their form and being in the form that the dragon desires, which is water that it can control.
Yeah.
As long as that's happening, I think it works.
And you can have the detriment of it or the cost be just inherently different when they're in the temple versus out. So like you can still make it, charges or short rest. And like maybe once they get out of the temple, they can do it like once per day. But there's no, detriment to coming out of it.
Totally. Yeah.
But then
once
when
they
they're
leave,
in the temple, it's powered up. They can do it as often as they want, but there's this exhaustion or charge detriment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And you know what I was thinking about during part 2? Do we want to make part 3 together? Now that we've kind of separately made the first 4 parts, we come together to make the final kind of boss chamber.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, Noelle, thank you very much. Came over from your side to say that they're loving the format, the collaboration format. I'm loving it too.
Noelle's the best.
Oh, that's
so
great.
Let's see. So is this boss chamber? Is that what you're thinking, or sort of final confrontation?
Yeah. So the original kind of concept that I'd had written down for it. Oh, I need to shrink your cam again. Was. Oh wait, where did I have it? I had the square footage budget of 200. We ignored the square footage. This is why I said this is a test stream because that is
whatever, right?
Clearly not important.
Well, I assume like what I always sort of preface a lot of these, sort of preparing to fail streams that when I'm brainstorming ideas is like, this is untested. Like this will probably break and fall apart, but the big ideas and the vibe can always be refined and we all change stuff right before we run anyway, right? That's got to be lower, that's got to be higher. Yeah.
I mean, someone in chat asked me, because I was talking about like the primordial. No. Someone became a member, but I can't see who it was. No, because the alert box was hidden behind Ryan's face.
My big dumb face was in the way.
Big dumb face.
What were you thinking?
Oh, Ty, thank you for the gifted membership. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, okay. But yeah. Mustang asked me, what about rewarding someone's like race or species or background choice? Honing in on one of those features and building a part of the dungeon for that. And I said, I don't lean as much towards that as I do something like a language, because a language is something that they can pick up as the campaign goes on. It is also something that just like they generally have more of, and it is also something that if I feel like one of the players hasn't gotten a win in a few sessions, maybe it is like a Dragonborn or something that hasn't been popping as much the last few sessions. Maybe then, you talk about changing something right before the session, I'll add in an optional path or an optional reward that is really catered towards a breath weapon.
That makes sense.
So it's not something that I would build into the dungeon by default, but it is kind of that like home stretch 20% that I might add, when I'm doing my final prep.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. So I had originally had this let me go back and read it. So interesting point is puzzle and or boss combat. So I'm thinking about what does like thematically, what does this final ritual look like? And one of my first instincts goes towards adding a third faction, because Rule of threes has my heart.
Sure.
So I think about adding someone at the bottom of this, maybe another group of adventurers that is maybe being held prisoner by the dragon turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines, or maybe like a sentient water elemental. One of those fathomless patron type water elementals.
Sure.
That is maybe an old rival of the elementals that it trapped down here, and maybe part of the ritual is that you have to use the elemental to complete it. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe what about maybe there is some creatures, some because we sort of have kobolds which can be anywhere, but they're certainly not like breathing underwater. Is there some civilization that is trying to assist the dragon turtle that can be discovered? Sort of. So now you've got sort of the kobolds helping, and then, but maybe it's a weaker force. Maybe it's an older cleric or even avatar of the dragon itself that like has been doing its best, but like it needs the help of the party. Maybe that's more of a humanoid they could align with or disagree with. Right?
Okay. So follow me on this. This might be a nothing burger, but follow me on this a little bit. Right? We've kind of established this seems like an ancient temple. There's stuff going on, ancient civilization. So when you started that, my first instinct went to like Triton, merfolk,
sure,
etc.
Yep. Yeah.
But then my mind went to Kuatoa. And my thought went to, oh man, what if the dragon turtle is not a real dragon turtle? What if it is a god generated by the Kuatoa down here? Maybe even back. So I'm thinking, right, merfolk Kuatoa connection.
Yeah.
What if these Kuatoa are like ancient merfolk? So they built all of this
progenitors too.
Yeah, and they, as in their progenitor forms, they formed the ancient dragon turtle. They brought it into being, but it dominated their minds in return and kind of submitted them down to these maybe not mindless but much less intelligent minions. But maybe it almost dominated them so much that they became useless to it. I don't know. But that's where my mind is kind of going with this.
Okay. All right. Let's here's another spin. Maybe this is just taking it down deeper. So I like the idea. I like the idea of a what would this be considered? This would be like it's like there's another cult. Right? There's another organization, or there's another group. There may not be very many. So, because here's the thing, it's very likely, especially depending on how dense players are in a given session. I don't mean that negatively. I just mean that sometimes we're all dense.
Oh yeah, and, sometimes it seems obvious to us, but it's absolutely
slow in the uptick. Yeah,
not obvious.
Slow in the uptake. But if they enter sort of the bowels of the temple and marching to and fro, what are those like fish in deep waters that have like those lights that guide them, but otherwise they're blind?
Not lanternfish. Is lanternfish?
But that's the vibe, right?
Yeah.
What if these are like old, deep, like where whatever? If they have eyes, they're glassed over.
Yeah.
And they can see with these very bright lights on them, and they are basically performing this ritual very slowly and methodically. Like, could it be
That was it.
Anglerfish? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, kid. I feel like everybody in chat helped us there.
Oh yeah, I got it from chat. Yeah.
But that may be an unsettling sight, enough of an unsettling sight to make them question if they have been helping the dragon turtle, and then you see these really kind of frightening creatures.
Yeah.
That
And
are, it's almost a parallel. Like, could it be a parallel to the kobolds almost? Where like, okay, these
right, like
kobolds are
this is what
crazy,
they become
and
eventually.
then then you go deeper and you're like, wait, they're just doing another variation of this same sort of ritual, but for this thing, do we
Yeah.
want to? If we wanted to stop them, but now we're helping this, are we sure that this is
Right.
for a good cause type of thing?
Yeah, yeah, it's sort of an inversion, and they could, and you could get like really unsettling with it, like as they go into the bowels through that through the natural cavern at the back of the puzzle
Yeah,
room, that like you know those like albino like crabs and crustaceans that live inside of
sure.
caves where they've never seen sunlight, so they don't need color. It's like maybe they
Yes.
even look like maybe they are Triton, or they are this like very like normal humanoid race that you might have encountered on the outside, but they've been
Mm.
morphed. They're all albino. They have these lights, but they look grafted onto their head. Um,
Oh. Oh,
yeah,
so we haven't talked about this, but this is a fun thing, like, to start from the end and then think up the foreshadowing.
right.
What if a kindly old Kuatoan on shore sort of kind of gestured or even gently pushed the players to taking on this, like, hey, there's an old sea
Oh,
shanty legend about
about
this temple you might be
yeah,
interested in.
the turtle under
Um,
the sea. It's supposed to be a
right.
great golden treasure.
Yeah, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this old man screwed us. Like, this is a whole other thing."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
Um,
like their outside correspondent that like feeds people into the temple.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
he's he's doing his part, right? That could be, and that's before, but that could be a fun
I
way
think
of
that could be
connecting it.
even better if it is like a more traditional like Triton merfolk
Sure, that's
type
fair.
race.
You wouldn't want it to be too striking, right? And
Right. You
frightening.
don't want a Kuatoa to walk up with its big old fish eyes and start speaking
Well,
common
you
to
might
you.
not.
That might not be for me, yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So yeah, merfolk, albino. And it could even be, oh, so we're talking about the Kuatoa, right? It could even be
that's right. Yeah.
that you find Kuatoa corpses. So
Mm,
these are the things that birthed the dragon turtle. But
yeah.
I don't know, maybe somewhere in the dungeon, or maybe it's just like a row. As you descend down to this final boss chamber, it's just bones.
Yeah.
It's not corpses. It's not, these are ancient. And they are just lining the path down to this chamber. And when they get there, they're not assaulted. They're not, we don't roll initiative. They just see
Right.
these silent lantern bearers making a silent, slow circuit around the room.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's cool.
ugh.
You, do you think that the only way to stop and return whatever this living temple creature god is, what if the only way to prevent what is happening is to effectively flood the place and sink it again? Like, there's all these contraptions for managing
The
the air
water.
pockets and things, like as it's raised. Like, maybe there are even parts of it that sort of poke up over the surface. That's what drew the players in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which would I'm thinking almost like it's like a sphere or something like that. It's an old movie that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think of with these sorts of vibes where it's like, okay, we can sink it, but then we have to escape. We've got this much time. Like, we can still use the gauntlet for the water breathing, or we can use these breathers we found. And how quickly can we get to the surface?
I think that
Um,
maybe, if the Underdark exists in your world,
Hmm.
you could potentially, maybe there is like a way that you could cause like a seismic shift to sink the temple into the Underdark, or something along those lines to like
Oh,
bury it.
I like the
Um,
idea that the Underdark is just below the deepest waters. Like, if you
yeah.
go far enough down below, then that's what's beneath it, and you can sort of, maybe that's where it's been, and it sort of takes all this effort to come back. That could
Oh,
also
like
be
they've
mixed
been
into its
raising it
cult.
the whole time?
Well, yeah, maybe well, the it's almost like now we're taking, like, the anglerfish and like maybe these ancient merfolk, and combining them with some like Underdark civilization, where it's like this is actually like the remnants of this sort of this following
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has
yeah.
continued to cultivate and bring it, trying to bring it. The only way to bring this thing through, it's almost like the water is just the means of travel. It's in the Underdark. It can't teleport. It can't
And
do
they're
anything. It's got to basically go
slowly
up.
flooding
Yeah.
this cavern, and you could even foreshadow that throughout the entire thing, that with like the pressure popping, and you could even
Right.
like narrate like that it almost feels like they're on a boat at certain circumstances, like maybe when the turtle talks, like it shakes it, but they still feel like the entire temple is
Right.
floating on these floodwaters. And it could even be that the anglerfish, the ritual that they're doing, is like a giant pump. So they are
Yeah.
they are on this, like, not like treadmill necessarily, but like a giant like wheel, a water wheel that is just
Definitely, yeah.
slowly moving more and more water into the Underdark from the ocean.
I mean, so now that sinking has taken on this connotation of you go down, 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 like, um, I guess I was trying to think of a way that they could succeed and escape, but maybe escape is not going to be possible the way they came. Like, you're in this thing now, and you can either basically, if you lean into, if you let the dragon turtle do its thing, you let these creepy fishmen do their ritual,
Yeah.
it'll provide you a bubble escape pod and enjoy the next 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And that would be fine. Because the sacrifice is, you can stop it. But you can't get, like, you got to go down with the ship effectively. You have to go with it to the Underdark.
Yeah, you have to ride it down. Yeah.
All the way down. You can find your own way back after that, but this is a
Right.
one way, because otherwise it's like, yeah, okay, great. You've got water breathers. You're under 600,000 tons of water. What are you going to do? Like, leaving this thing? It's too.
Yeah.
And that could be a fun sort of surprise. Like, I like when surprises where, like, like, let's say, like, if a player falls off a bridge, it's like, okay, I guess they're dead. It's like, well, yes, they could be.
Yeah.
That's not always super exciting or fun, but what if they land in like a giant spider web?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, that's not good either.
Yeah.
So as long as it doesn't feel cheap, and how much more heroic would the players be if they thought that, like, yeah, we're going to stop this guy, and we're going down with it. We don't know what that means.
Yeah.
That could be cool, and maybe it could be foreshadowed and they could know about it ahead of time. But how neat of a reveal to get to the end of that battle and find out that outside is dry.
And I'm thinking, right, like the gauntlet that turns you into this water elemental that can move water. Maybe, like, that's what it's needed this whole time. It is needed someone to get the gauntlet, to go down to the anglerfish, and to basically accelerate the ritual. Because the way that it's going, the anglerfish are going to get there in, 10,000, 30,000 years. Like, they'll all be dead by the time the ritual would actually be complete. And so he needs to accelerate it using this gauntlet, and he can't wield it. None of the anglerfish can wield it.
In effect, the player that's attuned to the gauntlet is the fifth element. They need to come down into the lower depths. None of these, like, ancient fish people, anglerfish, they can't. They can't navigate the temple and tune to it. No, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't.
They're already too attuned to the turtle. If they try to attune to the glove on top of it, it breaks their mind and they die.
Well, I mean, these things could also just be completely ineffective. Like, they do what they do, but if they go up to the upper parts of the temple, like, they'd just be destroyed by the kobolds. Like, they can't even stand up against them.
Yeah.
So it could just be by the nature of, like, because at that point, like, the dungeon above and what the kobolds are doing is almost like a parasite on the back of this thing.
Yeah,
now, right?
and the
Where,
parasites
just
have
sort of
rejected the dragon turtles kind of
right. They're trying to use it. Yeah,
they have like rejected the gauntlet, rejected its, like, offers. For maybe valid reasons, maybe not. And they are just using maybe the general energy of this place and it, being this great water environment to raise this black dragon, and then they're gonna bounce.
Yes. Yeah, and the kobolds could conceivably have been riding it from the depths of the Underdark, or they could have, maybe the ritual has to be completed nearer the surface, and when a part of the temple pokes out, that's when the kobolds found it.
Yeah, I think that works. Yeah,
that would make sense. So really, like the I guess the question then, if we want to treat this as like the boss chamber encounter combat type of thing,
what is the combat?
Well, so the combat, it definitely is going to be easy enough to include some sort of a series of things that have to be done to either help or harm what, because this feels like a scenario where they come in and they learn sort of if the players haven't pieced it together, this boss chamber is where the turtle's going to feel free, and maybe even the creatures, these angler creatures, they'll spell it all out, right?
Yeah,
like at this point, it's like, oh, it's more just like, we're so glad you're here and you're helping.
Yeah. So you finally, the gauntlet bearer has arrived.
Yes, exactly.
He will free us.
So at that point, it becomes, the combat shifts. I think that's what's fun about this dungeon, is that the combat is either going to be, we are stopping the dragon turtle,
which I think is then, I think the dragon turtle provides maybe like a psychic, like environmental layer action sort of threat. And while you're dealing with the dragon turtle's layer actions and maybe psychic attacks, you have to fend off the anglerfish minions, I think.
So yes, I like that. So here's what I was thinking. So something like that. So in the rare instances where the players want to help the dragon turtle, let's say they do. They go, actually, like, sweet, I got this gauntlet that I like. We can all breathe in water.
I mean, maybe they're the I'll out con the con man sort of player.
Could be.
Where they're like, yeah, we'll tell the dragon turtle that we're helping, this 1,000-year plan or whatever. We'll figure it out later. We'll come back and kill it.
Yeah. So maybe, exactly. This is a problem we can solve another way.
Exactly. I think let's
get back to the surface.
That's very much a D&D player thing, is it's like, we'll take it for now. And once we're level 20s, we can wish this guy out of existence.
That's right. And, but if that's the case, then these weak ass fish people have to complete this ritual, and whoever's left of the kobolds and probably the black dragon are coming down, and now you're defending the ritual location from them, and either, like, as the fish people are taken out, you're taken over for them. Like, it's completing the ritual while fending off that threat.
Yeah. So there's a certain timer on the ritual. Like, that is the boss encounter. There is a timer on this ritual that can be progressed by doing certain actions, by either helping the fish people, by turning into the water. Like, I think that the water elemental progresses it like 10 fucking ticks, something like that.
I was gonna. That's the water elemental is the big question, right? Or the I guess the player who, assuming somebody did wear it and attune to it, if they go against the dragon. If they go against the dragon turtle, maybe the kobolds aren't an element anymore, but maybe the dragon turtle turns the elemental against everyone else. Maybe it can say, "Oh, okay, you're not going to do my bidding. That's fine. I'll take control of you this way," or whatever. And maybe it's a there's a couple different ways to try something like that, but
I'm thinking about like the encounter more generally, and I think that in general, I think that there's two sides of like the same coin. Of basically the moment that they enter the chamber, You have, I don't know how many segments on the clock, probably way more than this, like 20, 20.
Sure.
You could represent it by like a 12-hour clock or a 24-hour clock or something like that. Maybe even literally, maybe like a water clock.
Yeah.
And I think it starts halfway filled up. And so we can really genericize the whole progress. We can have the exact same mechanics fill the clock, and if the mechanic is done in reverse, it empties the clock. So that regardless of which side you're on, if you have the gauntlet, you can make this go in one direction or the other. It just depends on like which way you're siphoning the water, essentially. And so then we can, kind of like, okay, that's the encounter, regardless of their faction arrangements beforehand. The encounter is this timer right here, and the anglerfish are filling it up, but the players can fill it or empty it slower or faster. And the question of the actual like faction alignments is a tricky one, because we have to basically assume that the kobolds might be a non-factor in this. Like, we can't design the combat around them because we might have already killed them.
We might have already killed them, but so I feel like the potential reversal, right, is that I think that there's a way to play up the black dragon almost like the alien in the movie of the same name, where it's always around the temple, and maybe it is a threat, maybe it causes problems, but it could be the expectation of the players is that we got to face that black dragon in the end. The twist would be, actually, no, this other force is what we need to be worried about. Maybe
I see. So even if they take out the kobolds, maybe the dragon escapes.
Sure, or the dragon is just still wandering. It's in the ducts, right? Like it's in the catacombs of this.
It goes up the slip and slide of doom. Back up.
It goes up. It goes back up, and that gives us the ability to have either the dragon be the remnant of the kobold threat we have to defend the dragon turtle against it, because the players can only go. This is a teensy tiny bit quantum ogre, but the players can only go with route A or route B. And in the case where they side against the turtle, the dragon appears, and the dragon effectively takes over the black dragon. It basically consumes it with water, and it becomes now this like water beast, this water black dragon or something.
Oh, so because the players went against it, and the dragon turtle now realizes, they're going to stop my ritual, it subsumes its will on the dragon comes down and fights them.
They were like, this was a real problem for me, but in the presence of my new living, connection to this world, because you're wearing the gauntlet, I am a bit stronger now, so I can take care of this threat. And whether or not that just so happens to be true, like obviously, like I said, the players can really only go with we're helping you or we're hurting you.
Right.
So depending on which way they go, that kind of it's going to reflavor that final encounter in hopefully a satisfying way.
So if they're going against the dragon, if they're going with the dragon turtle, the black dragon comes down to stop them?
I mean, it could just be like an unfortunate arrival.
Yeah. It feels a tiny bit weak. We've been kind of building up this story, and then kind of the random black dragon comes in at the end to it feels like there should be another challenge that is worked into the feel a little bit better.
Here's my question to you then, and this is why I was thinking this way: can the dragon be defeated before the end of the temple?
Well, the black dragon originally, when I had put it in, the black dragon is a wormling. It's a CR1.
It's a wormling. Gotcha. Yeah. So it is yet to grow.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a CR1. It was supposed to be like in that kobold encounter.
That's fair.
So, but we could buff it up.
That's easier then.
But
no, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a component of it. I guess I was trying to find the right level of threat, and it could just be more of the kind of water abominations that can be spawned by this dragon turtle, that is totally fine, right? Like especially if
It could be that the ritual itself, like the actual act, like not that the ritual is, this is not what you would think of as like a nice arcane ritual. This is primal. Maybe the ritual itself maybe literally generates water elementals, and that could have even been foreshadowed of if they maybe mess with something in that chamber that you have. If they try to maybe block off the water, if they try to block off the water so that, the whirlpools don't go down or something, that will force the water into a tighter channel and make it move faster. And maybe when the water reaches a certain velocity in this temple, it like spawns water elementals or water weirds out of it.
Sure.
And so part of the ritual, and you could have this on either side, where if they're dumping water back into the Underdark to sink this whole place, then that process generates water elementals, or if they're completing the ritual, speeding up the ritual generates these water elementals as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah. What would you use? So, and maybe this is what you were just describing. We just need to turn it into the mechanics or what it would take.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking of like ritual mechanics, right? Like, let's say there's a combat scenario, whatever it is, it's an initiative-based thing. And how does a player help or hinder a ritual? Is it just as simple as performing a certain action at a certain pedestal or a column?
In my head, there's like a In my head, there's like a large, and I don't know if this is, I don't think this is good, but this is like the general mechanic and like the way that it sits in my head. There's like a large, like sluice gate. So this large gate is being lifted off of the ground, and it is being basically held up so that water can flow through it. And water flowing through it is what the dragon turtle wants. And it is being held by the anglers. Oh, excuse me. It is being held by the anglerfish, but basically they're just keeping it in tension. They've been keeping it in tension, so it's been at this constant rate for however long. And so the party, through, whatever mechanism holds this up, this chain, maybe it's like a, I'm thinking it's like a large, like spoked wheel or something that people can stand behind and push. And that could even be a way to reward your fighters or your marshals for high strength rolls. So this large kind of spoked wheel is what holds this. So all of the anglerfish are just standing there. They are holding it in tension. They can't push it.
Gotcha.
But if the party gets involved, they can raise this sluice gate, and every round,
wheel one way or another way. Right?
Exactly. They could push it the other way. They could push basically against. So I'm even thinking maybe, I don't know about this, but maybe the anglerfish are even non-combatants. They are just the force that is holding this in tension, and the party has to like fight against them to turn the water wheel the other way to lower the sluice gate.
Sure.
And maybe like the constant flow of water is needed to keep the level rising, and if you don't have this constant flow of water, the entire place starts sinking again. That's the general idea in my head.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You could also, it could be a series of them, right?
Sure.
It doesn't have to all be one. Because I try to think about like what's going to allow the most movement and variety, and like, okay, well that, if one character can move faster, then I can get to the one that's far away and try to manage that.
No, that's a great point. And then while you're doing, maybe there's 3 wheels, scattered around here, and then the entrance is over here. If
Yeah.
and maybe there's a bigger one in the middle that maybe has more of an effect on the sluice gate, but there are these smaller ones that are maybe easier, so like you don't have to have as high of a strength check to turn the smaller ones, but they have less of an effect.
Right.
And it takes your action to affect any of these water wheels. So that's like the combat is like balancing, like these things are getting like pushed back to neutral or something every time, and you're fending off enemies. I'm not confident about my water elemental enemy idea. It also doesn't feel quite right.
It doesn't feel as fun as it doesn't feel as refreshing as you want it to be for like the final bit.
Right. It doesn't
Of the
feel as
dungeon.
like as grandiose, because like I'm thinking if they go against the dragon turtle, you could have them even fight like not necessarily like psychic enemies, but like
Sure.
what's that enemy called? Like the silent killer or the phantasmal killer.
Yeah.
It's like an elemental, but you could reflavor that as like a psychic projection.
Hmm.
And so they are fighting, projections from the turtle if they go
Right.
against it. But I don't know what they fight if they go with it.
Right.
That's like, what is the natural enemy down here?
Sure.
What is the downside to progressing the thing?
Um,
Deadly had a very good idea. The opposing force can be an avatar of the dragon turtle. So kind of like this like phantasmal force that gets weaker the less Kuatoa / Triton there are. So the less of the
sure.
anglerfish there are, they're
Right.
non-combatants, but it gets
Hmm.
weaker. So like picking off these anglerfish make it easier to move the water wheels and
Right.
make the turtles projections weaker.
Yeah.
But that does not cover if
Mhm.
they side with it.
Well, and I mean, if they, yeah, that's a good point. There would need to be, um,
People are saying maybe previous adventurers that fall
mhm,
victim to the curse that
mhm,
maybe for some reason they can't attack the anglerfish, and maybe there are cursed bodies down there, so the bodies of past adventurers that the dragon turtle is lured in, and they cannot attack anything attuned to the turtle, so they can't even attack the person that is wearing the gauntlet.
okay. How about this? Because I feel like that's pretty close. I think we do so in there's a part of the chamber that is flooded,
Yeah.
and um, if the player is aligned with the dragon turtle, it's like great. Well, all of this water's got to go for us to rise to the surface,
Mm-hmm.
and releasing this final valve, I'll no longer be able to trap these infidels. And it's like, infidels, what are they? And there are,
Oh.
call it 2d6, let's say a party of 4 or 5. And when they emerge from this sort of salt watery goo, this sort of like um, paralysis, like this could even be foreshadowed in the dungeon, right? There's certain cursed puddles of water, or maybe they emerge from the living portions of the temple, and these
Yeah.
guys are all submerged in this like preservation salt water. And when they come out, each one of them is wearing, one's got the helmet of Ouroboros, one's got the boots of Ouroboros, one's got the chest plate and the sword, and it's like
To show what
this has
happens to
happened.
you.
This has happened a number of times, and they are like almost like maybe like the sea anemones like growing out of their faces, and like they're almost like um, underwater zombie forms of what they once were, preserved in this. But,
Yeah.
but they are, if you're going to side with the sea turtle or with the dragon turtle, the previous adventurers who did not are going to be released as part of this trip up, and now you have to defeat them
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. There's maybe the anglerfish can raise it at a steady rate. It's very slow. Um but you can essentially release a mechanism that will release the adventurers and allow you to raise the entire temple faster. So maybe the temple is incapable of being raised faster until you release the mechanism, which also gives the party time to prepare if they want to. So or maybe the dragon turtle releases it because it's so callous, who knows?
Sure.
And so the mechanism is released. That starts the thing, and maybe the timer starts ticking down. The anglerfish can't hold these wheels. So, they can only, maybe they're just waiting for the gauntlet bear. They're not actively holding these before the party gets there. But they are then there if they side with the if the party sides with the turtle, the anglerfish help them turn the wheels once the mechanism is released. And if they side against the dragon turtle, they try their darndest to stop the party from turning the wheels back. And so then, the same mechanism, and maybe the party can turn the wheels back without releasing the mechanism. Like, they can sink the entire thing without releasing, like, the speed mechanism or whatever. But they can't raise it. And so you either have sort of this, like, psychic fight against the dragon avatar, or you have this fight against basically the previous victims.
Right.
Yeah. And you have all of these different... I really like the idea of all of the different wheels around the room that maybe like a fast... like a monk player or this is a 5th level challenge, I guess. But like a barbarian might be able to get between much quicker to maybe pick up the slack for any anglerfish that have dropped.
Totally.
So, like, maybe they're making progress on one, but the adventurers, the ancient adventurers, take out some of the anglerfish on, like, wheel 2. So the monk sprints over. He's like, I got wheel 2, and he's fucking holding it against the fucking...
Oh, yeah. There'd be a lot of different things to go on, because I think that whatever timer mechanism that kind of everything plays into, it's really, if you're making it to this either direction, actually, it's really just about keeping everybody that needs to be alive until that timer is completed. If you're bringing it to the surface, it's just about waiting that clock out and keeping everything flowing to keep that moving as fast as you can. And the same goes for if you're trying to sink it. Right. It's just like, then just survive this encounter until then, because basically at that point you can leave, you can flee, right? Because I think that... And
you could have this timer be like a very like in fiction thing. Maybe it could even be that these are almost like gears. So maybe they turn the central wheel, or maybe they turn like a big like stone gear under their feet, so that you can very distinctly...
Like a phased encounter.
What was that?
It feels like a phased encounter. It feels like even at just a base level, right? It feels like the travel up or down, let's say down, the travel down, the first phase is getting there. The second phase is now you have to escape this thing, right? That is effectively flooded with water, because that's how we sink it. And so there's an escape sequence. There probably wouldn't need to be one if you made it to the surface. That would be like, okay, great, thanks.
Congratulations.
Here's a cursed little boat made of turtle shells or whatever, like, be on your way. And then maybe there'd have to be something in the world that adjusts, where it's like, hey, the moon is tinted like a different shade now. Why is that? That's weird. And there's some reference to this now kind of impending curse that's 1,000 years out.
I agree. Like people talk about the tides being more violent than they used to be.
Right.
Yeah. You can sink that into every part of it, and you can
everywhere.
Have it be this sort of thing where, especially if they keep the gauntlet, if they loot any of the other Ouroboros gear, you can have it be a thing where you've done what the turtle asked now, very Warlock Patron-esque, like, Are you
Yeah.
gonna say
Yeah.
no to it later? Like
Right.
the mafia boss, the loan shark doesn't come
Yeah.
calling only once.
The lone turtle. The lone turtle will be back.
Yeah. So
You
like,
have
maybe
to
it
do.
is there is no, escape sequence. There it's an easy walk out,
Right.
but there are consequences later.
I mean, all you got to do is it like there's so many fun things, and that's why I say like it's one of those like epic fantasy stories. Like if you could allow this dark entity to do its thing in the future, and you don't care and you let it pass on, then you
Yeah.
just make note of that as the DM, and then when all the players retire and you're going through their epilogues, and the player who took on that sort of dark deal, one day finds their young son, putting on the gauntlet and saying, "What's this, Dad?" And it's like it continues, right?
Oh
Like it's gonna
yeah.
be
Oh
him
yeah.
now. Like just to carry on that dark passenger in a sense.
Oh yeah. And
Um,
you could work it in that, people you could even have a very nice "Are we the baddies" moment where,
sure,
you know,
totally.
people that want to stop the apocalypse, other adventurers, come
Yeah,
and like hunt the party down because they are responsible for the apocalypse now.
yeah, because it's not a super great thing that they did. Yeah,
Yeah, and
and then
maybe there's even like a spiritual tie to like them still living, something.
sure,
You can work
yeah,
it
they
in
could,
a bunch of ways, but
I mean, they would be, yeah, there'd be something where it's like they're it's very curious that the storms seem to always avoid their ships, right? It's
yeah.
very odd that these things sort of shift in their favor, and it calls them into question. It's like, well, there's been written that people that are you followers of this, like, Ouroboros,
And
whatever?
if you want, I always like offering this to my players. You could even offer the player that took the gauntlet a level of fathomless warlock.
Oh, totally,
Like
absolutely.
that's just easy peasy. If they want to dive even
That would be only
more into the
fair.
dragon turtle.
Yeah, there would be some lingering elements of that in the story, I think. And then it's fun if they stop the dragon turtle. It's fun the other way too, because now
Yeah.
they're in the underdark and they have to find their way out, which is always a fun
Oh, a
uh,
super fun arc
thing to start.
that can be started
Yeah,
there of we're not trying to stop any grand machinations in the Underdark. We never, meant to be here. We're just trying to get home. We're just trying to get out.
well,
This
it
whole time.
becomes, I mean, yeah, it could be, well, how fun would it be to like escape. It's like, think about these things, like the end of episodes is like a new arc begins, where it's like they escape the sinking, now maybe just like falling turtle,
Yeah.
and they make it onto this like strange sort of cavern where they're like, I guess we can breathe, or there's air, like where the hell are
Mm-hmm.
we? And they're saved even by some figures wearing their own kind of gear that recognize what they just did, right? Like there are probably
Yeah.
forces in the Underdark trying to keep this thing from happening,
And those
and as
could
soon as they
even
all
be
become,
the reason that it's going so
yeah,
slow is these forces in the Underdark. And
could
now
be.
they suddenly say, "Oh my God, you did what we could never do." Like you
And they're
reward them even
so
more.
grateful. They're so
Yeah.
grateful. And then the session ends with the one of them smiling, pulling out a thing, and just hatcheting off the arm that has the gauntlet, because that cannot be. That'd be a fun place to leave the group. Like, what
Yeah.
the?
Roll me a dex save to stop him from chopping off your arm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like if they can surprise you, then they've got a sharpened axe just for this.
Yeah, and they're like, it's nothing personal. We love what you did. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Well, because they would also have an air of like, these idiots can't possibly know. Like, look, he's wearing. Yeah, they stopped the thing from happening, but they're wearing the armor of the thing. That's gotta
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's obviously dicey territory, but like with the right group and with the right flavor, sometimes that kind of thing can be fun.
Oh yeah, especially you love that if they're like a duelist rogue that doesn't use their other hand anyways. You chop that shit right off.
Sure. Yeah, generally speaking, if especially if there's that much narrative weight and impact on stuff, I find that players are totally happy to roll with stuff like that for their characters.
Well,
But
and
you
especially
make
there
your
are
day.
ways to get magical prosthetics. So
Sure.
if they want that, back. But yeah, I agree. I find that when it
Well,
is
they could even
not random.
that happening at the end of a session. The next session could begin with like they remove the player's arm and then magically put it back in place. Right? They're like,
That's
listen,
true. It's a
sorry.
great cliffhanger that then gets undone next session.
Somebody gets all grumpy about like, I can't believe you do that to my character, and then really like that grumpiness is now directed towards this. Do we like this group of people that is
Yeah.
willing to like take off our
And
arms?
maybe it's not even
Yeah,
like an instant. Maybe the it's like Mike and Ids or whatever, and they're like, oh,
sure.
if you're, I mean, it's just an arm, but look, if you're really bent out of shape
It'll grow
about
back
it,
in 1 to 6 days or whatever.
there's this place over here that has
Sure.
maybe a hag or something,
Exactly.
some way that you can reattach it. If I mean, fucking surface dwellers, sun sick surface dwellers need
Exactly.
both of their arms. Ugh.
No way. No, that'd be a fun introduction to, especially if they were just partially saved or helped by them, congratulated by them. That's a fun little twist.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Nice.
all right.
This is
Well,
cool. This has got a whole thing going here.
yeah, I love it. I will. I'll try to off stream. We can try to polish it up. Make it into a few articles or something. And publish it.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Figure out some names.
out
Maybe
there.
put it on DM's Guild. I don't know.
Sure.
You can put free stuff
Yeah.
on DM's Guild, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like put it up on a site somewhere, put it on. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fun concept to like it definitely like balloon. I don't know if it'll be interesting to see as hopefully you continue to do these to see whether they all expand into this, like, because it feels like what it's like, okay, let's make a dungeon. It's like I think we just made like a 10-session arc of a campaign out of this dungeon. Which
We
I
at
think is
least
great.
made
I
a climax session potentially of like at least a 3-episode arc. Yeah. Depending on how long your
yeah, it
sessions are.
depends. I guess it depends on the group and the party and how long they take to.
But
do
no,
things.
I agree. I mean, there's a whole there's a whole kind of thing here.
Like,
Yeah.
love it.
So I know, but I thought it was sick. Thank you
Definitely.
so much for joining and beta testing it. We now know to ignore square footage. Very nice beta test.
Yeah, we can, that kind of stuff. And honestly, even like getting too far into the weeds with like exactly what level, exactly how much of a thing, it's like as long as and that could be just my approach to it, but it feels like once the general outline and the story makes sense of the dungeon, it's like, okay, now this trap is only so lethal, or these creatures are this, but a little bit weaker or stronger. That's all pretty adaptable.
There's a certain like tone that you need, I think you have to approach. Like I think this is a great regional heroes quest line. I think it's a beautiful, like, because it very clearly like bringing this turtle to the surface or sinking this is going to have an effect on the region, but probably not the world or the continent, So it's
totally.
I think that there's a certain aspect of like, maybe I'll even not say like a level 5s next time, but I'll put it for a certain tier of play. So like this is like tier 1 quest, tier 2, maybe going that really general.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that a lot of that really comes down to more exactly what numbers are chosen when you choose to publish it. And
that's
things can be kind of pushed, amped up in this direction, or
you can fiddle with the numbers quite a bit.
Definitely.
Sick.
Cool.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna talk to chat for a second and then probably hop off. But like I said, thank you so much. This was super fun.
Definitely. And everybody, hopefully you're doing this anyway. That's another thing to make note of in the future, but like definitely go to Megaphone Man's chat.
Oh yes,
cool stuff over there.
Yes, go check out Ryan. especially if you're. I'm not. We talked about it earlier in the stream. I'm not into physical stuff at all. So
Crafting.
if
Yeah.
you are into that, Ryan has got you covered.
Yeah. We do a bit of that over here. And Megaphone Man is deep into a Critical Role season 1 watch.
Yeah.
How many episodes? How many of their sessions have you done now?
Not as many as you would. It sounds like a low number, but I think we just passed 36.
That's not a low number.
37. It's taken like 6 months doing it, twice a week.
Well, because each one of those is like the base watch time is going to be 4 hours, and that's before you talk about it, right? So it's
my streams are more like 8 hours. Well, I've started splitting them up because I couldn't do a full episode in one stream.
No, it's a lot. That's a lot to dig into. But.
Yeah. But no, yeah. I guess go and subscribe to each other, and
check everybody out. Yeah. And we'll do it again sometime. We'll figure out even more of the dynamics back and forth between them. I mean, honestly, like I think this worked pretty well for our first run of it.
I agree. I think the next thing I want to experiment with, and I have no idea if this will totally derail it. I want to experiment with adding a third person.
Sure. So as long as if it all joins through Streamlabs, I don't know that it's that big of a deal. Like I know that I'll adjust in the future how audio tracks from Streamlabs come in so that I can have a little bit more control and muting and stuff on like both ends. But I honestly think, and I'd be curious too what chat would think, but for the most part, like the easiest thing to do with the video stuff is like just pull up multiple streams and have one muted. That's a heck of a lot easier than trying to because recombining all of them into different places is a lot trickier.
Yeah,
3 people would be intense, not only, right?
Yeah,
but it's worth a shot. You never know.
It's worth a try. I had no idea how this would go, and it went awesome. And so I'm gonna keep experimenting with the format and see what works and what doesn't.
Do it.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, I will talk to you later, sir. Have a good night.
See ya. Yeah, you too. I'll leave your stream.
Yeah.
You're free.
Goodbye. Muted now. Hello, I'm back. Sick stream. I had so much fun. Oh man, what a cool guy. I love Ryan, and that was such a fun time. I hit a little bit of a creative slump in the middle with the H, but then I got there. I feel like, but this was awesome. Fuck yeah, I'm glad. I towards the end when we started combining, I started missing a lot of chats. So I'll need to warn next time that there's kind of phases to chat interaction as well. But now I know, which is really really cool. Oh man, yeah, I'm excited to do this again. I really want to. I would love to have this be like a regular thing, and I would love to like then go and like have like a separate stream, where I'm not on with anyone, just kind of like flushing it out, getting the details right, just like hanging out. Definitely cannot do that with current workload. But holy shit, that was so much fun. I had a great time. So yeah, I don't know how, I do want to like flush this out into like a whole, like not like module, I guess. But this like whole like dungeon packet, and publish that all, but don't know how much time I'll have to do that in the coming months. Maybe I'll work it into the unseen campaign. Who knows? But yeah, that was super sick. I was throwing ideas all the time. It was awesome to see you integrate some. You had some great ideas. If you're gonna provide them, I'm gonna take them. No, that was so cool. That was really really fun. And I think that's where I'm gonna end it as well. If you have any ideas, if there's anything, in particular that you liked or didn't like about the format, let me know down in the comments. Go subscribe to Ryan. He deserves it. He makes such high production shit. It's crazy. And he absolutely deserves the subscription. Anytime, being part of the process was really cool. Fuck yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave it there. Have a good rest of your night, and I will see you all tomorrow. So soon. For Full Episode Friday. Peace out. I'll talk to you later. Oh no, I didn't have the mouse prepared. Okay, now